At 1, imagine getting turned out in your first week behind bars while there's a blade pressed against your throat.
I was raped the first week I was in prison by 2 guys. So the cell doors open every 15 minutes. During chow lines, the doors are automatic. They open every 5 minutes, the doors open during chow. So you can go to chow and you can come back. And my bunkie had left and I was tying my shoes and the doors open and these 2 dudes come running. And I mean, this guy's got a knife that's this massive knife, and they grab me by my throat and they stick it in my throat. I mean, I still have a scar on my throat from it. And you know what this is, man. If you scream, if you yell, if you fight, you're done. I'm gonna kill you. And I know in the comment section, you're gonna get a lot, I would have rather died. Sure you would have, tough guy, right? Like in that moment, like, what are you gonna do? Like, there's nothing you're gonna do. And I just remember the door was open and closed 3 times, and then they took off. And that was my first moment of real violence in my life. Like, if I don't do something, this is gonna be my entire prison life. I'm gonna be somebody's bitch. This is what's gonna happen. So I grabbed up these little segregation pencils. You know the pencils they give you in segregation? These tiny little bastards?
The golf ones. Yeah.
The golf pencils. I grabbed them up. I took my shoestrings out of my little black shoestrings out of my shoe and I wrapped them around. And I had like 5 of them. And I went across the hallway when the door opened again and he's standing across the hall. And I walked over and I was like, hey, bro, I just want you to know that I'm not going to tell anybody. And he looked at me with this look of, and I just lost it. And I just started stabbing him in the face with these pencils. And he went, and you know, these pencils aren't going to do that much damage, right? But there's a lot of blood because it's ripping the base layer of your flesh off, and there's blood everywhere. And this guy's screaming, and I'm just in this state of rage. And then you hear the keys jingling. I got up, darted across, and of course, as soon as you do that, all the inmates basically are building a wall for you because they're all standing around watching it like, oh. So I was able to slick down, go right back across the hall, back into the cell, pop the shoe and the pencils into the sink real quick, hit old Igor in the water kicking out, wash all that blood off real quick, like threw the shoestring under the bed, spread the pencils out, and I just laid on my bunk like, I mean, my heart's just beating, shaking. And then you hear the other guy, CO, he's kicking on the door. I need to lock up, man. That guy's going to get me too. Looking back at him like, dude, you're such a broad. 10 minutes later, they've done carted them both off. And I'm just laying there. My bunkie comes back and says, what the hell was that? None of your business. Just mind your business. And I'm still reeling from, like, you guys just violated me in the worst way for 15 minutes. And then this happens and my brain is just all over the place. My heart's beating. And now I know I'm screwed. They're going to come and they're going to give me a new case. And I'm just laying there just, and they never came back. And then count time passes, lights out, and I'm just laying there all night like, I just know it. And they never came back.
At 2, not for the weak. Watch a gangster being for real about what life actually looks like behind bars.
The moment I realized the prison wasn't what I thought it was when I first got to Eastern. I watched a man get stabbed, and he was holding his throat over the drain. And my initial instinct was to go over and like try to help the man. And my dog next to me like held me back and was like, bro, leave that dude alone, bro. It ain't your business. Stay out of it. And I'm looking around and I'm watching this man hold his neck and letting the blood drain, through the drain. And people are just like walking around him like he wasn't there, like he didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Like the man was invisible. And it fucked me up. You know what I mean? It like desensitized me almost.
At 3, what truly happens to Chomos behind bars? Watch this one.
Chomo ends up losing his life in prison.
Well, he's no longer with us. Now, this dude was in prison for exactly what he said he was. And let's just say some inmates took him out the game. And yes, that's pretty common in prison. That's exactly what happens. If you were there on any bad charges, you have bad paperwork, or you did something bad to somebody, you're cooked. It is going to eventually catch up to you, and people are not going to want you to be in the same section as them. It's like Survivor. You get voted off the island, but everybody will shank you if you don't leave. So it's a little bit more life and death. Now, I've heard of some sick individuals, but what this dude did was horrible. I would say it wasn't this bad back in the day, I feel like, but I'm pretty sure it's just social media is exposing them, and we're getting to see it all. And that's why we see so many cases of people doing the craziest, most deplorable things ever. Just know, for every action, there's a reaction. And people in prison are going to give you that reaction. And that's facts.
At 4, there are 3 things you must know if you're a white dude in prison. Here are they.
I'll say this, in the South, especially where I came from, if you're white and you get into the prison system there, you got 3 choices, and this is what they tell you. Fuck, fight, or bust a 60. And that means go get your $60 in commissary and pay it, protection. So when I first got there, I'm like, holy fuck. And I drive up to one of the largest prison units in the state I'm in, and I see a guy that I know in the day room, and he's bloody as fuck, man. And he's like, what are you gonna do? Fuck, fight, or bust a 60? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna fight, man. I mean, yeah. He's like, well, get your shit and come in here, because it's about to go down. And I went in there, man, and I got my ass kicked all day long that day. I don't know how many times I fought. He just told me, he said, look, dude, just keep going, and I'm not gonna let 2 people jump on you, but if somebody calls you out, you got to get up and fight. Because if you don't, you're going to the other category, and you're gonna be, somebody's property. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, no, you're not, dude. I know you, bro, And I'm like looking at this guy, and he's like, don't you remember me? And I'm like, no, I fucking don't. And what turns out, this is a guy I played baseball with when I was like 9 years old, dude. And he's big, like 260, fucking jacked up, fucking big. And I'm like, this guy's bloodied up in here. I'm scared, man,
At 5, what if you go to the shower and you already know someone is about to force you to do something? Holy fuck.
There was a time in prison, too. I wrote about it in one of my books. This guy was going to rape me in the showers one night, and right after rec. And so the guy that told me about it, my cellmate, gave me the jump on it. He also gave me a fan motor to beat this guy with. And I go to the shower that day, and I ambush this guy coming to rape me. And I beat him with the fan. I almost beat him to death in the shower, right? Because it's do or die. This guy is like, he's coming to rape you. He's the biggest rapist in prison, HIV positive, got a knife. I mean, this is a do or die situation. If I don't beat that guy that day, because he's going to come take everything from me in life, then I don't make it past that. I'm still in prison, or I'm dead in prison. Yeah, I didn't see any other out but fight.
At 6, here's a cool little hack to avoid getting punked behind them bars.
How to not get turned out in prison hack. How do straight people go to prison?
For his release date. Crazy, isn't it?
At one point, I want to say it was around like 10 days before I actually left, I started thinking about it. I was like looking at tiles in the ceiling. I was like, yo, I think I can get out of here. You know what I'm saying? I started looking at shit, and I started looking at COs come and go. They were short-staffed a lot. I was like, yo, if they give me a chance outside and they're short-staffed, I could fucking get the fuck out of here. October 31st comes, 2018. Wake up, eat breakfast, do my workout routine, hit off some burpees in my sweats, just doing my routine. They didn't think at all that I would take the chance on this day. We're short-staffed, but they want to bring us outside because it's Halloween. A lot of people have kids and can't see their kids on Halloween. We'll let them do some fucking, we'll let them shoot some hoops. So the way the rec yard's set up is that it literally goes around the entire, there's no fence separating the entrance. So essentially, it's a small little area, and the COs keep us away from a certain point just by saying, hey, fuck off, get away from this area. Well, there's 2 COs. There should have been 3 or 4, I believe, in order to even initiate rec. So people lost their jobs. And what happened is they did recall at one point or another. And when they did recall, I hid on the side of the building. Inmate seen me. And the CO that was supposed to be making sure, he was supposed to be behind the inmates, making sure everybody comes in, wasn't. So there was no CO that saw me. They locked the doors. So I'm outside, and I'm like, well, this is already I'm not going to get an attempt escape charge. Fuck that, because that's corny. You know what I mean? I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all the way, and that's it. not thinking about any of the consequences that come with it, right? Bro, I try scaling the fence. And mind you, I have on rec sweatpants, and I think I might have had my tans outside for doing pull-ups. So I put those on, and I was like, if I rip through one, I'm going to have the other. Run up with my fucking Reebok highs, dude, to this fence. Start trying to scale it. It's got the pieces of plastic that go in between the fence. Bro, I'm sliding down this thing. There's just like, dude, it's literally probably like 8 or 9 feet with razor wire. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? So there was a picnic table. We used to press it out in the yard. Bro, I flipped it. I don't know where the strength came from because I could barely even lift that, pressing it a few times with somebody spotting me. Bro, I flipped this picnic table up against the fence sideways like this and climbed up the picnic table, got to the top of the fence and wiggled my way through the razor wire. I still have scars on me from it. Made it over. I hear inmates on the glass from the unit just wigging the fuck out, going crazy.
At 8, shout out to Jumpsuit Pablo for this. He told the story of this Chomo top secret sex magazines and the shit that was inside. Oh my God.
The most disturbing thing I saw in a prison shower during my 10 years inside. Now, before that, this isn't the most disturbing thing, but just so you know a little bit about prison showers, they're disgusting. All the time. When you first get in there, the prison actually gives you special shoes. They're really just Crocs that they call shower shoes for you to wear on your feet when you get in the shower. So for 10 years, I am used to showering with shoes on my feet because if you step in those showers barefoot, you will get staph infection. But anytime you go in there, man, you don't know what's swirling around on that floor. I've seen fruit flies, hordes of fruit flies just sticking to the wall, buzzing all around your face while you're in there because they got a little nest in there. I've seen open wrappers of microwavable cheeseburgers that someone probably ate in the shower because they didn't want to share it with someone who was going to apply some pressure and make them give them half or a piece of it. And so they snuck into the shower to eat it while they're in there cleaning. But the most disturbing thing starts with a photo. Right here. That's me in a prison cell. It's not my cell, it's my buddy's. And he was cellmates with this old guy they called Doc. I don't know why they called him Doc. I'm going to assume it's because he's really sick in the head. He needs to see a doctor. As far as his charges, let's just say he used to be a school bus driver and then some things went wrong. You can do the math on that, but not very good charges. So for the moment, nobody was doing anything to Doc because everyone knew from his reputation that if you put your hands on Doc, he's going to snitch. Shamelessly. You are absolutely going to solitary confinement. And nobody in there at the time was ready to just give up all the just business and just stuff they had going on in that cell block. So for the time, nothing was happening to Doc, but nobody really talked to him or anything. But Doc had this really weird habit. He always had this photo album. They sell photo albums on the canteen. It's supposed to be so when your loved ones send you photos of your family, your dogs, your kids, whatever. You have a photo album to put them in and you can open it up when you get lonely and look at them. So he had a photo album from the canteen. He was allowed to have it, but he carried it with him everywhere, especially the shower. And nobody really thought too much of it. What do you think's in there? I don't know, because it can't be nothing bad because the staff screens your mail anytime you get mail in, especially if there's pictures involved to make sure there's nothing inappropriate in there. So one time I got in the shower and he had left his photo album in there, propped up in the corner. I didn't know it was his at first, but I found out later he was the one who had gotten out of the shower. And it wasn't hard to put it all together once I picked it up and found what was inside. Doc had been taking these cutouts from magazines. See, people often get subscriptions to magazine like People Magazine, OK Magazine, things with like celebrities and just stuff like that. He would cut out people like, I swear, like Kendall Jenner, Gigi Hadid, like, you know, this was back in like 2015. So he'd cut out whoever, you know, all these like trending celebrity girls and stuff in these magazines, and he would cut them out and glue them to these blank pages of his photo album. But he would also find little boys' faces and cut those out and glue them over where their head, the girls, were supposed to be. And he literally constructed these photos in this album, these scenes that he wanted it to be. I remember one vividly, the one I opened up to, he had cut out, it was like an ad for like a doctor. I don't know what it was, but it just looked like one of those pages that's an advertisement for something in a magazine. And it was a doctor, a full-grown doctor, and then it was a young boy with his head, a young boy's head, on someone else's body. And he had cut out the slogan of this advertisement. That's why I think maybe it was for some crackers or some chips or something, because he had cut out and it says, always a healthy snack. And there's only 2 other things on this blank page. So it was very disturbing. I brought it to his cellmate, who was affiliated with an organization, and showed him what he had in this photo album. Hey, you wonder why Doc's carrying this around all the time? This is what's inside. It's not just good old wholesome family photos, buddy. Yeah, this is what it is. Long story short, a lot of guys had some prison wine that night, and things happened. But that's a story for another time.
At 9, there's a quote inside a woman's prison, gay for the stay, or straight out of the gate. Well, this former inmate pulls the curtain on the truth.
So let me just say this. Your mom is not the only one. Not even close to the only one who goes to prison straight as a damn pencil and comes out, or go, like, while you're there, you're gay for the stay, or even come out and you're gay as shit. Women will change your life. And not only that, but when you are incarcerated with women for years at a time, with not one male to touch or see or whatever, you're gonna become gay for the stay. And when I say 9 times out of 10, I mean 9 times out of 10 a woman is going to do that. I did. And I don't know if I'd be really considered gay for the stay, because I'd been with girls before prison. I just never, like, publicly dated one. But when I was there, I was technically publicly dating a female. But let me tell you something, it fucks with your mind, bro. Like, you go in there and these women look like men. Whole ass men. I'm talking, like, my mom came to visitation one time and she was like, Taylor, why is there men here? I said, Mom, that's a whole vagina.
At 10, watch a grown-ass man being used as a literal workout equipment. Watch this.
Inmate gets used as human workout equipment in prison.
A grown man being used as weights in prison? Let's speak on it. This is one of the most severe forms of cuckery I've ever seen in a prison video. Like, it's one thing to be cleaning someone's dishes, cleaning someone's shoes, even acting like a dog is almost not as bad as this. Imagine being a grown man and there's other men literally using you like a freaking sack of potatoes or a water bag. Talk about being dominant over you. They say size doesn't matter in a fight. It all depends on your skill and just what your level of mentality is and how far you're willing to take the fight to win. So I can't say this little guy couldn't snap one day and hurt one of these guys, but by the looks of it, they would literally manhandle that person. Stay free, y'all.
At 11, what happens when the male prison guard has a pregnancy fetish in women's prison? It's crazy. Watch this.
There was one guard in particular that had a pregnancy fetish, and he would always pull me out of line, pull other pregnant women out of line to pat us down and make sure we're not stealing, like, cornbread from the chow hall. A lot of the male correctional officers would watch female shower, and it wasn't just that, like, oh, I can see you, you can see me. They would even take it a step further and come up to women and tell them, like, I saw you in the shower earlier. It was awful.
Damn.
I was also serving time in a prison where the chaplain was convicted a year after I left of raping 5 women.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. So I mean, if you're at the mercy of these male COs to some degree, what do? You just got to deal with it? I mean, how do you?
A lot of women that are in prison are scared. They're scared of the correctional officers. So much so that, like, you can't stand up for yourself or say anything crazy, which you shouldn't do anyway, man or woman in a prison. You shouldn't talk back to the guards or talk shit to the guards. It's going to get you beat up and put in seg.
Exactly.
Nothing's different when it comes to women. I've been pepper sprayed. I've been thrown on the ground and pulled to seg. They don't care. They don't care that you're female. You're still going to get your ass kicked and taken to seg. So it's a rough thing.
At 12, what actually happens to snitches behind bars? It's hard to stomach.
What you do? Hold on the way, no.
Snitching in prison? In the streets, there's one code. No snitching. In prison, there's one code. No snitching. I tried to look up what this guy did. I'm pretty sure he told on somebody while he was in prison, because snitching still happens in prison. Did you know in the federal system, you could actually snitch and get out of prison? But a lot of guys snitch in prison just for nothing. Just to maybe get out of a ticket. Maybe they caught a dirty urine. Maybe they try to get a bed move. I've seen it. But this obviously caught up to him. But I'm pretty sure snitching, the whole key is to not get caught. A lot of times the snitches will actually get moved to a dorm. And some of the COs will actually snitch on the snitch. So it's like double snitching. And that's all I gotta say about that. Snitching in prison and the streets.
Real nigga. You told on the real nigga to save your face, huh? Yeah, y'all see what happened when a nigga tell on the hog or something, man. Tell on the real nigga or something, man. That's what we doing.
At 13, don't you know male inmates enjoy a honeymoon behind bars? But the question is, with whom? Well,
Inmate honeymooners in prison.
2 inmates caught cuddling up like 2 lovebirds. Let's speak on it. This right here, y'all, is some crazy work right here. You got 2 inmates laid up like they're on their honeymoon in prison. Most of the prisons that you're going to, that's not going to be tolerated. So they're trying to say basically those guys sneak around and do that and try to like wake up before everybody else. But apparently they slept in and got caught. And these other inmates took pictures of them and posted them on the entire internet. I'm not trying to hate on anybody's preference, but prison and the free world are 2 different things. And there are certain things that just do not fly inside those walls. Stuff like this is just not allowed, especially if you're in an organization. Like if any of these 2 are part of some type of clique, they're gonna get dealt with for that. And they're never gonna be able to live it down, even if they get transferred to different prisons all throughout the state or the feds. Make sure y'all are following my page for more content. Stay free, y'all.
At 14, a young one recalls a memory when he once fought a booty bandit.
I fought a booty bandit. Dog. I'll tell you the story. So I shit you not. I walk into the dorm and this guy who just had just got out of confinement, he's over there by the chess table, and I'm always scanning my environment. Like I'm always just looking around, seeing what's going on in the dorm. And every time my eye passes in that direction, he locks eyes with me, which is fucking weird, right? We're in prison, we're in a dorm, you're an older gentleman, don't know you, you just got out of confinement. Every time I scan the dorm, I lock eyes with you.
Right. Which means he's watching you constantly.
Which means he's got his eyes on me, right? And I go and I tell one of the homies, I'm like, hey man, what's up with buddy, man? He keep looking at me, man. And the homie goes and talks to a couple other homies, and somebody says they were at another camp with him at Jackson Correctional Institution, and he like booty. He take booty. He's been in the chain gang for 20, 30 years. He takes booty. Immediately, I lose my shit. I tell my homie, where's the knife? Where's the knife? Immediately, he gives me the knife. I'm about to press him, but like I said, fresh on this compound, fresh in the structure that's going on. I go back to my homie, I'm like, I'm gonna stab him. He's like, no. He's like, no, you can't stab him, you can't do anything. We gotta talk about it first before you can take him up out of here, right? I'm like, all right, bet. They call chow. We all start pouring out the dorm to the chow hall. We get into the chow hall, and this whole time I don't notice it. I'm talking to my homie, I'm like, man, when we get back, let me get some shoes, da-da-da-da-da. Out of the corner of my eye, I see him creeping up through this is a 53-year-old man too, man. He's like 50, 60, man. He's just a predator. He's creeping up through the line. As he creeps up through the line, I kind of like sidestep him because he tries to take a wild swing at me. He's trying to crash me. This is what we call crashing.
Right.
It's not wait till we get back to the dorm. We're gonna go into the cell and we're gonna paint, or we're gonna get our knife and we're gonna knife it out. However, this is, I'm gonna hit you. We're gonna go down and the officer's gonna watch it and take us to confinement. Right? That's what we call crashing out. So I see him creeping through the line and he tries to take a swing at me, and I kind of like give it a little sidestep, and it kind of like nudges my chin. But when it nudges my chin, I come around immediately with a left and I hit him, and we lock up and we hit the floor. I land up on top of him and I start fucking drilling him. Boom, 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 boom. As I'm drilling him, the officer's walking up. All the inmates break it up. The officer's like, what's going on? I'm not used to this type of compound. You know what I mean? The officer's like, what's going on? The head of the GDs walks up and is like, nothing, officer such and such. Nobody got stabbed, so it's none of your business. And the officer's like, nobody's bleeding? And he's like, yep, and walks off. So I'm not used to that, you know what I mean? I'm used to, like, you know, we fight, we go into confinement.
Yeah.
And the head of the GDs just walks up to the officers like, nobody's bleeding out, nobody got stabbed, keep walking, keep it pushing. That's how they talk to these officers at this camp.
At 15, watch how London Luckett turned out to LaToya Luckett within a few months behind bars.
Listen, y'all are a different type of messy, because when I tell you, I done got about 5 people that sent me this to my inbox. I'm like, have I been under a rock? Because I don't know who the hell this man is. But because these pictures that got sent to me, I had to go and do my own investigation. So I never heard of this man. I don't know who the man is, but his name is London Luckett, and he's out of Chicago. And he brutally Michael Myers his girlfriend and was sentenced to 2 life sentences as well as a 25-year sentence for armed robbery, right? And so I guess after he got sentenced, when he went down to prison, he got turned out, or turned himself out, one. But when I tell y'all about prison stories, and I be talking about turnout punks like Tubbs, this is a prime example. If he got sentenced in 2022 and he used to look like this, that means in a matter of not even 3 years, he done went down there and either turned himself out or got turned out, and now he done went from this to this. Now, I want to clarify a few things, because I realize, based on how I see a lot of people talking about this, they don't fully understand how deep that turnout shit goes. To be clear, just because you come to prison with a crazy sentence, it does not automatically mean people are going to be there waiting for you, or gonna be, it doesn't necessarily mean that, because it's people in there that done far worse and ain't got touched. So I want to be clear on that. Just because he went in there, it doesn't mean people was waiting on him to do that to him. Be very clear. I will say this. Light-skinned or light-complected dudes like him that have like a young appearance, they got a cute face, I will say they are targets. They are targets for what you would consider booty bandits. Those are the type of people that target them in there, like them booty bandit type of real freaked out, crazy dudes, like Damon from Friday After Next. That is a fact. So when you know that you are already considered a target like that, like, baby, you gotta at least go in there and know how to fight or something, because they gonna be on you. Because look how he look. He's decent looking. He light skinned. They was gonna be on him regardless. Now, be very clear. Just because he look like that now, that does not mean when he got down there that they just took his ass and just did that to him. It very well could have happened like that. I'm not saying it didn't. But I am also saying there are other factors that come in to play when you're dealing with people that come into prison and they become turnouts. Like that story time I did with y'all when I was talking about Tubbs. Tubbs was not cute at all. Tubbs looked like Bookman from Good Times. Ain't no man just gonna be going after Tubbs to try to lay up with him and turn him out. Tubbs turned his damn self out, right? Some dudes, and it's just being honest, some dudes will go to prison and they don't have no family to look out for them. They don't got no money. They don't have nothing. They broke, they busted up. And they may see like the punks in prison getting a lot of money, and you know, like the dudes do when you go down there, they see that and they might realize that, like, I can get some bread and make some free money and be living good if I do that. You know what I'm saying? And it just happens. It happens. So he could have very well been one of them people that didn't have nobody that's in there to support him or send him commissary, and he just so broke that washing clothes or washing t-shirts and stuff probably was not enough to really work out for him where he can really eat and live comfortably. So he might have just turned his damn self out. Be very clear. You can get turned out, but he can also turn his damn self out. He could have really just did all this himself. And then if I'm being honest with you, looking at his eyebrows and his face, he been around some hoes because he been practicing, because his eyebrows, they look decent for a turnout punk. I mean, he definitely been in the cell practicing. He got eyeliner, outlet, and his lips done. He been in there practicing. He been around some hoes. He been getting pointers and everything because he been practicing. The whole eye work and makeup is two together to say he new to it. He been in there rehearsing some shit. It is crazy, but to you light-skinned dudes, while y'all laughing, y'all really should take notes, because, and I'm being so honest with y'all, pretty light-skinned boys, pretty light-skinned men, like, I'm telling you, like, y'all should be the last ones to be trying to commit crimes. I'm being so for real. If you know you one of them pretty boys that got like a pretty face, you know you one of them type of boys, baby, you might as well take that whole poo shiesty mad shit off and get somewhere and sit down, because all of that you trying to portray out here, I promise you, if you know you look cute like that, it's not gonna fly in there. They not even gonna buy half of that. They're gonna test you. I mean, I'm sure he got tested. They gonna test you. You are definitely gonna be prey. So you should be the last person trying to commit crimes and doing crazy stuff, because you are definitely a target for booty bandits. They coming for you, and you got a choice. You can either end up looking like her, or you must go have a mean boxing game, baby, with a bunch of Michael Myers on you. You gonna sleep with every night, because it's gonna happen. They gonna try you, but I don't know. I mean, I see people saying like they got people gonna be coming after him because he get moved to another unit or something like that. That very well could be happening, but I can assure you, if he is in population and he ain't locked up and able to run around, she having her way. She in her life. The crazy, bona fide booty bandits, them old school booty bandits that's just crazy, be ready to live with anything, them Terminator looking assholes. Oh, they all at her door. They at her door. They waiting on her to shower. Oh, she getting her life right now. If they let her run freely, she getting her life right now. I just had to finally just do my research because I had everybody sending me this. So I had to investigate, but it's a wild story. I mean, he ended up for 2.5 life sentences. He ain't never coming home, so that's the finished product. I mean...
At 16, let's address the million-dollar question. Where do inmates hide contrabands during strip searches?
Number 1 prison hiding spot hack. Boofing it. We all know this hiding spot, and I'm so glad I found this video. So I'm gonna explain it. After visitation, all the COs line up all the inmates single file. There's usually only 1 officer or 2 officers like patting you out or stripping you out when you leave visit. So what a lot of guys will do, they'll put Vaseline behind their ear, make sure they're in the middle of the line, like in this video. And then they'll have one of their homies look out, like this guy right here, grab a little bit of Vaseline, then boop, put it in the prison wallet. Make sure it's all the way up there. And by the time it's their turn to get up there, it's already all the way up there, and the CO's gonna strip them out, and they're good. But you're still gonna have to squat and cough. So hopefully it don't fall out. But like I said before, if it falls out, you shouldn't be sticking it in there, or quit sticking other things in there. Number 1 prison hiding spot hack, boofing it.
At 17, imagine being a CO and keeping an eye on an evil and psychopathic girl on death row for 14 hours a day.
The year was 2010, and I was a corrections officer in a prison. I had been a corrections officer for about 5 years at that time. I spent a decent amount of time working in the mental health infirmary section of the prison. In this section of the prison, the inmate population was highly unpredictable. You weren't really sure what you were going to get from day to day. On this day, we got a female inmate into the prison that was sentenced to death row. None of us really knew what to expect. We were just ready for, I guess, anything at that point. When she was escorted into the mental health infirmary where I was working that day, it was something that I wasn't expecting to see in her behavior. She started off her behavior by saying, "Hi, officer. How are you doing today? It's so great to see you. It's just, everything is so great." I knew with personalities, especially the ones that came into the prison, the personalities were like gravity. What goes up must come down. Well, she kept her up personality, her happy, joyous personality for a few days. And I was just kind of waiting to see what was going to happen because I did not get a good feeling about this inmate. I mean, obviously, you know, she had been sentenced to death row. We kind of knew her rap sheet coming in, but the vibe she gave off was very different. She completely changed during a shift one day, and it was like snapping your fingers. I noticed something different in her eyes. She was the smiling, joyous, but there was something distinctively different. I walked past the cell, and as she was smiling, she's like, so I knew something was about to change because I had seen this in another inmate story prior that you may have heard already. At this point, her eyes were becoming blank. When I was walking back from the tear check, I walked past her cell again, and she was just kind of staring. out the cell. She was standing there, but the lights were not on. We were just going by our shift, and that day I was on the floor a lot, so I went out to do the next tier check. As I'm walking past her cell, this feeling that I got, that where the hairs stand up on the back of your neck and you kind of feel this feeling in your stomach like something is not right. That's exactly what happened. I walked past her cell and I see this. Just staring, like she was possessed. When I went back into the control center that was on the housing unit, I talked to my corporal and I said, okay, what do we need to do next? And he said, well, we need to take her out so we can walk her to the shower so she can take a shower. I said, okay, let's do it. We unlocked the cuff port, had her put her hands out of the cuff port and put handcuffs on her so we could escort her to the shower. When we had her handcuffed, we had the control center open the door, and my corporal put his hand on her arm to escort her to the shower. I was about to put my hand on her arm, and then something just really weird happened. I went to go grab her arm to escort her to the shower, and I couldn't do it. There was something inside me that it was like a repellent. I could literally feel it inside there was something evil. There was something not right going on, and I looked at the corporal and I just said, this was the first time this has ever happened in my career. I definitely was not one to, back down or back off of any kind of situations. But I looked at him and I just said, I'll be watching her. I stayed close behind her to make sure if she had any sudden movements, I would be able to intervene and make sure that the whole situation went on safely, but I could not touch her arm. We finished escorting her to the shower and closed the door so she could shower in privacy. I looked at the corporal and he's like, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. That girl has something inside of her that's not good, and I could feel it. And he said, no, I get it. I get it. I could feel something weird too, and I don't understand. Once she was done, we put her back in her cell, served her lunch, went on with her day. But every time I walked past her cell for the rest of that shift, she was giving that look of pretty much like she was possessed. And she continued this on and off behavior for a while. But being that she was a death row inmate, she was then placed in the death row section of the prison, and I didn't have to supervise her again, but I will never forget the feeling that I felt where it was like I was almost having to touch evil. And I know this sounds ridiculous, it sounds silly, but when you could literally feel it in somebody, you know that demonic energy is real. It just is. And be aware of it. Stay safe. Stay away from it.
At 18, this dude dealt with Chomo in the most high IQ way possible. Watch this.
My cellie was a white dude. Small little white dude that was in there for a fucked up case. You know what I mean? Well, I didn't know it at the time, but he came in, he brought his bags in. We're watching him walk up, and my homeboy Dante's like, shout out Dante. He's like, that nigga's going to your cell, bro. Look at him. I was like, you think so? He's like, break his ass. Look at him. This little kid was, I can't even explain to him. Like, he scared out of his mind. And then he's going in my cell, bro. And I look like this, you know what I mean? In there, like same way, bald head, everything. And I was probably a little bit beefed up more. And so I walk up the stairs and I go to my cell, and he's right as I'm getting to my cell, he's like finna close it and close his eyes. I was like, Chirr! I was like, hold up, homeboy, this is my cell. So boom, I was like, first thing first, take your shoes off right here, started lacing them up, and he's just like doing everything I tell him, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right, sit down. And I was like, what you here for, bro? What's your name? He tells me, he's like, no, I'm here for aggravated assault. And I look at him, I'm like, you mean aggravated sexual assault? And his blood just ran out of his face. Like, and I was like, all right, tell me what happened. Gave the same story that probably they all give him. She was just young and told me she was this age, which is probably bullshit lie. Didn't even waste time running through his paperwork. I already knew what he was, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, well, this is how it's gonna go. If you don't want none of them other motherfuckers out there to know what you in here for, you are now property of Smooth. You know what I mean? You will wash my floors. You will clean my thing. Whenever I want to come in my cell, you will leave my cell. You come in and I'll make sure nobody in this motherfucker touches you. You know what I mean? You good. And but you will not sit with me. You will not eat. You know what I mean? Like, but you would do everything in the cell. Whenever you do make store, it's my store. You know what I mean? I'll let you eat here and there, but everything is mine. And if that's the only way you gonna survive in this motherfucker. Told his ass that, you know what I mean? And he knew. And you know what I mean? Like, if you're that, and just his stature too. Like, he wasn't even a stiff ass rapist or anything, you know what I mean? Like, bro, you're gonna get fucked even if you wasn't a sex offender, you know what I mean? Like, you're out of there. So he calmly obliged.
At 19, it doesn't matter. If you're hospitalized, you're jacked as a fitness trainer, or you're 250 pounds of a monster. If someone wants you, they'll basically get you.
Got him. Hold up, Willie, where you going? In prison, it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair, if you're 6 foot tall, missing arms. If people want you, they're gonna get you. I actually knew someone that was in a wheelchair, and he had a super rough bit. It's because he made it that way, though. He was a little guy, he was in a wheelchair, and he loved to chase them boys. Maybe I can use your guys' detective work. This was in Lorain, Ohio. He had a life sentence. He used to be a dealer, and someone went to his window, and he pulled out the pew-pew. They were trying to rob him, and he ended up getting life and going to prison. They called him Nightcrawler, because at night, when the lights went off, we were in an open dorm. He would crawl under people's bunks to get to his punks rack, so he wouldn't get caught by the CO. Get it, Nightcrawler? But not everyone thinks that's cool. So it set him up for a hard bit too, because if the wrong person sees him crawling up under the rack, or seeing him when he gets to his punks rack, sees him with his summer dog hanging out or something like that, they're gonna be pissed. But anytime like he went to the bathroom or anything like that, they'd be over there going through his box, taking his shit. What's he gonna do about it? Nobody's off limits in prison. Not even old wheelie grandpa over here.
At 20, female inmates recall how it feels to have a prison girlfriend behind bars.
What does it mean to have a prison girlfriend? Like, what's that relationship like?
I mean, it's really just like having a best friend. I mean, I don't know. It really, I didn't know. I just went along with it, and it, had someone there with me all the time. We got to talk. Sex was great.
So it's more than just friendship. It's intimate.
It was, yeah. I mean, I learned a lot because I didn't know like how girls really had sex. Because I had never really, been with just a woman. So, yeah.
Now, were you interested in a woman before you ever met her?
And I'm not now.
So what do you think it was, like, when you got to prison that happens? Is it in your mind, like, I have to do this because it's prison, or?
No, I just went in there, and she just was cute, and she had already been in prison, so she was probably on the lookout for someone, you know what I'm saying? And then I just got pulled into the loop.
How many fights do you see in there over someone else's girlfriend? Is there a lot of cat fights over it?
Not really where I was. Not really.
Is there a lot of jealousy?
Yeah, I guess. Not really. I mean, there was a lot of dressing up, or who had to have the most what do they call it where you sew your clothes the most? Like fitted clothes. They would get sewing needles and make their clothes look the best, or press them under their bed, and who does the best hair.
No.
You know, it was like a show every day.
At 21, why do some inmates drink water from the toilet, eat insects, or drink their own urine? Well, this is the reason.
Gang fear factor? Let's get into this. Now, when I was locked up at USP, there's this dude named Mike Hall. Mike Hall used to have really good money until he spent it all and he ran out. After this happened, he still tried to live his lavish lifestyle, but it didn't work out for him too well. Once getting in debt, he decided he would do anything to get out of debt. And he started eating bugs that we found outside in the rec yard just to pay his debts off. Now, I can almost respect this because at least he didn't burn people. One day we found a big beetle just like this. You know the ones that if you poke them, they'll hiss at you? We call them a June bug, but other people call them different things. Anyways, this dude grabbed one, put it on his tongue, and just ate it. I almost threw up because I could hear the thing crunching in his mouth. And when he opened his mouth to show us that he actually did it, there was juice everywhere. And that's facts.
At 22, an inmate tells a story of an inmate who was straight for 20 years, but 30 days into his release date, he tried to do the unthinkable to this young dude.
A guy came from doing 20-something years, and he was on his way home, so they brought him to our prison, and he was only going to be there for another 2 months, and he was about to go home, and there was a young guy in there, and in our dorm, the bathrooms wasn't working, and they used to leave our door open at night so we could use the bathroom. But normally it'd be closed, so the door was, you know, they kept the door open at night. And so we used to notice this the new guy come in. It was a young guy in there. The young guy was young, but he was kind of tall. And he used to have a young guy with him every day, walk in the yard, come back into the dorm. He's sitting on his bed with him, chilling. The young guy never was doing it. He used to be playing cards with us and stuff like that. And so we thinking he might know him from the streets. And long story short, one particular night, I fell asleep early. They woke me. When I woke up, I hear a bunch of commotion. When they waited for everybody to lay down, I guess, and go to sleep, he took the young boy in the bathroom and took his manhood. And the young boy, I guess it hurt him real bad. He jumps up and runs to the bubble, where the COs is at, slips and fall, and, you know, holding his behind. And the guy coming out holding his hand like, what happened? Trying to look like he ain't did nothing. That right there is just crazy to me, that you would just know you about to go home. If your preference is men, I have no problem with what somebody do. That's on them. But you're gonna do that to the young boy. You basically tricked him, manipulated him to take his man. That's one of the craziest things that I saw in prison.
At 23, inmates are not normal human beings when it comes to ravishing ladies with a lot of love and a tablespoon of manipulation.
Prison wives, love bombing is a real thing, man. Love bombing is a real thing. Let me tell you, a man incarcerated will tell you everything you want to hear under the sun. The things you wish a man would ever told you, the things you hoped and dreamed of, the love that you hear in these songs, they will tell it to you. You can't trust them, because I'm going to tell you one thing. They don't do nothing but sit up and read 48 Laws of Power, Art of Seduction. All this other shit is the type of game they using on you, and they just take all of that and bottle it up and put it in their own terms, and then you sucked in. Love bombing. Oh, I love you, baby. You know I need you in my life. I'm just sick of being incarcerated, and the last woman I was with, she hurt me, so it's hard for me to trust a woman, but I'm willing to, you know, put that aside and give you a chance and see where things can really go. In all naturality, he don't care. It's all about making a woman love him so she can do everything for him that he needs her to do, because he needs this woman to love him. And that's a woman. When a woman feel like she's in love with a man, what? She feel like she's obligated to take care of that man. Free game.
At 24, there's a side hustle in prison, selling cat pics and tatas for money. I don't know if there's a better way to say this. Watch this.
Number one prison hustle. I don't know how to say this. All right, I got it. Pictures of Kit Kat and Tatas for sale. So in prison, we used to be able to get magazines like Straight Stunting, Play, and all those other magazines, but we can't get those anymore. So one of the big hustles now is the people that do get them in, they hold on to them and they go around a unit and they'll sell them. Like right here, that's like $1, $2, $3. You get the point. That's about $150 right there. And quick story, like really quick. I knew this one guy, he used to go around a unit and try to sell the pictures. Well, when he'd go around a unit trying to sell the pictures, people had stolen from him before. So what he would do was, he would have it in a photo album and he tied a sheet around the photo album and then he tied that around the photo album. Oh, his wrist. Because he got tired of people trying to steal the photo album from him because that's a lot of money you're losing out. And he was kind of weak. But this is a very good prison hustle. And prison hustles, selling Kit Kat pictures.
At 25, is gay for the stay true in men's prison as well.
Have you ever witnessed anybody that was gay for the stay in prison? Oh yeah, that's actually a real life thing that happens in prison. There was a big ass burly dude in prison that I knew who once told me, bro, there's absolutely vagina in prison. It just comes with a kickstand and it smells like shit. I knew lifers who would swear up and down that they were straight as an arrow, but they still ended up putting a wedding ring on a dude and walking him around the yard. Some dudes would say that it's not gay as long as you leave it at the gate. And then there was other dudes who would say that you had like a 90-day transitional leave to stop doing gay stuff after you got out of prison and it didn't mean that you were gay. Other dudes said as long as you kept your socks on, it wasn't gay. And then other dudes said as long as you didn't make eye contact, it wasn't gay. Really, at the bottom of it, prison is a place full of insecure, lonely dudes who miss having a life, miss having a family, miss having connections with people. Everybody's afraid to show who they really are. Everybody's afraid to show any sign of feelings. And I feel like a lot of those dudes were probably literally actually just gay, but they were too afraid to say it, and they just used prison as a cover to be doing what they was doing. Because prison can actually be kind of a scary place at the end of the day.
At 26, being too friendly costs him his manhood behind bars. Watch this.
As far as you want to take this, again, I'm not going to have you reenact the whole thing, but as far as you want to take it, the day of this happening,
the first time?
The first time. What can you walk us through as far as what happened? Like, how did you not see it coming? If you don't mind me asking.
Because we were just kind of like.
Okay, so
I know what I know the question. Okay. I know the question. Because again, I had already been hanging out with him most of the day in, day out, sitting in the cell, talking, rapping. I think we had started drinking a little bit because they had hooch.
The hooch.
So,
Yeah, hooch, yeah.
Yeah, so we got to drink a little bit, had a little hooch. In his cell, because he had a cell by himself, got to use the bathroom. And once I started using the bathroom, we just came up behind me and just grabbed me and put me on the bed. And
so let me ask. Yeah, because he's like you say, he was a country bumpkin type dude. Are you physically trying to fight this off? Because again, from you're 21 years old, you're 150.
About as much as I could, be honest with you. It ain't like I just say, oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do it. No, I tussle a little bit about as much as I could, but again, because how he caught me off guard, coming behind me, and he was a bigger guy, just.
So, mind you, and this is all hindsight now, he'd been plotting this, or at least just, let's say he didn't plot it, but he'd been testing you and then he got you to this point. Do you feel at the moment that, like, what do you feel was going through his head? Like, oh, I've been waiting to do this, or this is just in the moment. This is just what it is, man. Like, do you go through? Because mind you, we're gonna get to it, but you were probably trying to get commissioned to do some harm back to this man. But do you feel like he was like, this man? I let. Do you feel guilt? Be like, man, I led this dude into this situation to make this happen. Do you feel like any of that was your fault, or you feel like, man, he just really took advantage, and I need to do some harm to this man?
I felt like he took advantage all the way up until I need to do some harm, because after everything was over with, I just kind of wanted to everything just be over with. Then I was hoping he didn't tell nobody. I was hoping nothing ever came out of it. I just stopped hanging around him, but I don't really know how everybody started finding out, but I think the only other way was he could have said, oh yeah, I fucked him. And it was always, how you say, my story against his story. So because it was my story against his story, the only way everybody felt like it was able to be settled was, got to do something to him. So it was either you do something to him or we do something to you.
At 27, what happens when your cellmate starts beating the cell door?
That's the sound of a man trying to get out of the room for some reason.
That banging is someone kicking on their door, calling for help for the COs. There could be multiple reasons why he's trying to get help. Maybe something happened to his cellie medically wise. Maybe he needs medical. Maybe he's getting beat or his cellie's making him check in and he's about to hurt him. There used to be these buttons on the wall, something like this, but they don't ever work. And you used to be able to touch them. And the COs at least come over the intercom and they'd say, what do you need, Rini? But 9 times out of 10, those buttons don't even work. I was in prison once. Who, me? I was in prison once. Actually, like twice. And this guy was a diabetic and he needed help from the COs. He sat back there all day. Nobody ever came to like shift change. Some COs get mad we act like animals. That's because you treat us like one. There's no reason that man should be kicking that door trying to get the attention of the CO. Unless he's a chomo. Pound all day. Number 1 prison sounds you don't want to hear.
I don't know why.
At 28, this prison nurse felt like someone was watching her the whole time during her night shift.
Prison nurse story time.
I've been a nurse for 5 years, and I've been traveling also for almost 5 years. I have been to 5 different prisons. I got a lot of stories, so let's talk about them. I worked at this one prison that was super ancient. It was there since the 1800s. And I would work nights. And one night, I was supposed to get off about maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. Because I was registry, I would have to stay longer. My schedule was a little different, so I had to stay longer than the state workers did. They got to leave early. And so I was in the healthcare staffing area, which used to be labor and delivery. And before labor and delivery, it was the OR. So they would have inpatient and inmate surgeries. I got a little nervous there, choking on my words. And so anyways, in this area, it's now the healthcare staffing area. And usually there's a supervisor, maybe 1 or 2 there hanging out. This night there was no supervisors. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll go hang out in one of their offices. And these offices they used to be cells. So there's 6 of them and I'm in one and I have my light off and the hallway light is on in prison. Lights are always on. And so I'm chilling and as I'm on the computer, I see a black shadow just walk past slowly. And I'm like, oh, I just saw a ghost. And I don't think much more into it. I'm like, okay, it's a ghost. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And as I thought that, I felt this wind just hit my wrist really hard. Cold wind all out of nowhere. The fans weren't on, the air conditioner wasn't on. And as that happened, I was like, this ghost just touched me. And then I'm like, it's an inmate that fucking touched me. So I yelled at it. I said, you better get the fuck away from me now. And as I said that, all the hair in the back of my neck just went like up. And then I felt really dizzy. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna stick around for this. I'm gonna leave. If anybody asks, I'm gonna tell them I saw a ghost or I felt a ghost. I saw a ghost and I felt a ghost. So I'm gonna let everybody know. And so I leave. And then once I leave, so in order to leave, I have to go through like different areas where the officers have to check my ID and let me in and out of the prison. So now I'm still in the prison, but I'm outside the prison walls. And I'm going up the staircase and there's a door on the side. And as I'm walking up, I hear a knock. And I'm like, oh. you're not coming home with me. Your energy is not welcomed where I'm going. Your energy stays here. And so I continue walking up. I make it all the way up the staircase, and then it does like a little knock again. And then I go home and I pray, because that was kind of intense.
To 29, girls go crazy behind bars. Watch this inmate expose why you shouldn't have a prison girlfriend.
Do not get a girlfriend. It was the most fights, the most arguments at Lowell. One of my friends got her whole face cut over a girl, and they weren't even talking. One of the girls was so jealous looking through the window that they were playing cards together, playing spades, that the next morning when we went out for work call, she cut the girl's face open. So I say don't get a girlfriend. I didn't really listen to that, but they tell you, like, majority of the fights is, I'm not gonna say FWRC because people transition so fast, they're in and out, but like at Lowell are over girlfriends. Like, you don't talk to somebody else's girlfriend, you don't cook with somebody else's girlfriend, don't even play spades. Like, unless you're with your girlfriend playing against their girlfriend, you don't do it. So there was a lot. You don't shower, like, when that girl showers or right behind her, because then they think you're holding the shower for her. It was crazy. So a lot of things, they were just like, mind your business, stay to yourself, and you'll be fine.
At 30, how does a prison riot really start? Want to know?
Prison riot.
A riot in prison? Let's get into this. Now, a riot is one of the most hectic things you can ever be involved in prison. For one, it's pretty much a free-for-all. Now, when I was locked up, there was 2 organizations. One of them was sent to get the other one. And it was so chaotic that one of them was shanking another inmate, and he accidentally shanked his friend in the hand. This caused the prison to put everybody on an A and B lockdown, which means one organization comes out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and the other organization comes out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. The cops will do this if the war ends up being too bloody. But this don't really stop anything, because eventually they're going to take the A and the B day off. All it does is pretty much procrastinate the inevitable. Because if somebody wants to get somebody in prison, all they have is time. And they will sit there and wait it out until they got their chance. And that's facts.
At 31, what are the 2 words that can get you killed behind bars?
It's 2 words you don't say in prison. Bitch and faggot. You don't say those words.
So going into prison, did you say that?
Oh, I was an animal.
Then how did you get checked on that?
Well, I just didn't say it because I noticed that someone did say it.
You must have said it at least once.
Oh, I never said it.
I did it.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
I said bitch and suck my dick.
What'd they do?
At the card table. He just checked me on it. Like, he didn't put hands on me. He was like, hey, like, don't do that here, Like, it was a serious, like, one of those moments, But we would do that as kids, like, suck my dick, like, on Call of Duty,
Right.
But you can't do that in prison.
No, you can't.
So you didn't accidentally let one slip?
Never once.
I'm shocked.
At 32, watch an inmate singing behind bars. I was shocked to see how talented he really was.
This inmate can sing.
Passion's about to explode. Surprisingly talented inmates in prison, let's speak on it. As much as people are screw-ups or addicts or just criminals in general, you'd be surprised how much wasted talent is actually in prison. This video is a perfect example. Like, if you seen this dude on the street or in the joint, you would just assume that he's just fully gone off with substance and there's probably no other substance to his life or like any other layers to him as a person. But he is really singing for real. He give R. Kelly a run for his money. Comment below, what do you guys think about this guy's singing voice? Do you think if he didn't have all of his missing teeth and wasn't a felon, he could make it in the music industry? Stay free, y'all.
At 33, do inmates enjoy pizza parties behind bars?
Pizza parties in prison.
Pizza parties in prison? Let's get into this. Now, there are some institutions where once or twice a year the cops let you order pizza. And no, this ain't very common. 99% of prisons, we don't have this. But this is definitely something that happened inside of this prison, because there's no way in hell a cop is gonna bring all of that in by themselves. Now, when I was locked up at USP, we didn't get nothing. people would have stood there and shanked each other over a slice of pizza. Now, what do you think they would do for a whole box, if not 10 boxes? Now, I personally believe if you treat prisoners like actual people, they'll rehabilitate better. Because once you treat somebody like an animal, they end up acting like an animal and then people get mad. And that's why prison is one big zoo. Now, I would have loved to get some pizza in prison. I probably would have paid $100 a slice. And that's not an exaggeration, I promise. And that's facts.
At 34, what would you do if Simone tries taking your shoes in prison like in this footage?
I want them shoes.
He got it for me. Getting your shoes stolen in prison? Let's speak on it. This is one of the things about having a luxury in prison, like a nice watch or a pair of Jordans. I've seen people with like designer frames, like Fendi frames. Even people that are like high ranked or have like a lot of respect on the yard, they can still get tested by a little pack of hyena inmates that are just thirsty and they want to get at somebody. There was an inmate who came from Southern Ohio up to Northern Ohio to where I was at, and he had Fendi glasses. And the first couple of days in there, everyone's like complimenting on him, and he's like, yeah, feeling himself, kind of smiling, you know, thinking he's raw because he had these designer frames on. And sure enough, I think it was like the second or third day he was in there, all 4 dudes pull up on his rack and were like, run that, you owe down. Stay free, yo.
At 35, no cap, inmates are the most creative people on earth.
I have had girls make me flowers out of tissue paper, like bouquet of flowers. So, you know, I tell people I've had some of the best birthdays in prison. The cakes that they make in prison, you would not even believe it. And it's like a big deal. It's your day, right? I'm celebrated big time. Here, there's probably 65 people, 1,000 people having my birthday. But cards all the time. My girlfriend's brought me cards every day. And that's why it's so hard for me to date right now. I will say, I know it probably sounds crazy, but to be catered like that in prison, and these guys can't even step up halfway. You can't bring flowers. You're not opening my car door. My girlfriend did all of that in prison with nothing. They cooked for me every night. They washed my clothes. They folded my stuff up. They cleaned my bed area. I'd get home from work. All my stuff was done. It's funny, but it was our life, right? That's all we have in there. And so it's like, you gotta step up your game, because in prison, I was getting all of this. You can't do it. Like getting jewelry ordered from their family so that you can have a necklace or have earrings. Gold ball earrings were a big deal in prison. And it's like getting stuff like that. You're like, oh, they made me a strawberry cheesecake. Big deal. You walk in the dorm with all that stuff and people are looking at you like, dang, her girlfriend loves her, you know, but they made a way. So you can make, I can even make clothes out of anything. If you give me a t-shirt, I can make the cutest booty shorts. Give me some elastic, thread, and I got you. And it was like getting those cute little different clothes than what we wore every day made for me, or embroidering, because they would sew different things in your t-shirts, or there's so, it blows my mind at the creativity that is sitting behind that fence.
At 36, y'all have asked me this God knows how many times, how the frick inmates get cell phones inside prison.
How do inmates get phones in prison?
How do these inmates get so many cell phones in prison? Let's speak on it. In most cases, it's because a staff member or a CO or somebody that has access to leave and come back to the prison on a daily basis finds a way to sneak a phone in, or 2 or 5. You gotta think about it like this. If you're a corrections officer, especially if you don't see a future career in that field and you're just kind of doing it for a job in that moment, you're not making that much money. So when an inmate gets cool with you or feels comfortable enough to ask you or offer you $3,000 to bring in 5 cell phones, you're gonna do it. Stay free, y'all.
At 37, this prison guard tells a story of watching a man getting violated under a blanket.
When you actually see somebody get raped, son, when you actually see another man get violated, and I came on the tail end of it, this man was hog-tied and getting fucked in the ass. And inmates is all around him and nobody's saying nothing. It just so happened I walked in to see my cousin Big Mo. And when I go down there, Big Mo said, yo fam, I don't think you want to be down here right now. Now, this is on the midnight tour. Around 12 o'clock, everybody supposed to be in their bed. But back then, the gangsters,
The real niggas play the back of the module area. They play the back. They get all the chairs in the back. They'll go to sleep. The officers ain't even challenging them niggas. And when I walked in there, and he said, yo, son, I don't think you want to be back here, cuz. I'm like, what? Now I'm definitely going back there because I don't know if he in trouble. So I'm going to go back there just to make sure he all right. But on my way back there, I look to my right, and I see a blanket moving like this, like a wave. It's going, And I'm like, yo. Yeah, I'm like, yo, what's going on? He said, yo, fam, I told you, you don't want to be down here right now. So I turned around and looked, got closer, I hear the I said, oh, shit. Now, you know that he be stroking. It was some stroking going on, nigga, for real. You know? So I went back to the officer, I said, yo, y'all better turn the lights on in this motherfucker, because somebody getting fucked. Somebody getting raped, nigga. Yo, Ebro, stop playing. I'm not playing, nigga. Let me out. Yo, stay here with us. No, don't stay here with y'all. I don't even belong on this post, nigga. Let me out. Them niggas play me, so they say, all right. Yo, G, soon when I got to the top of the stairs, them niggas hit the bells. They even let me out the house. They hit the bells now, I'm walking out, the squad, everybody coming my way, and I'm playing it off like, let me just make down the hall. And the captain said, hey, bro, don't you hear the bells? Where you going? I said, yeah, I hear the alarm. Where's it at? He said, hey, bro, stop playing. It's where you just left. What's going on? I'm like, yo, I don't know. Come on back here, bro. I had to turn around and go back with him. I'm like, oh, shit, these motherfuckers. So I'm like, he said, what's happening? Something happening down there, bro? And I'm like, I don't know. So I go down there with him. Meanwhile, them assholes still letting go on the floor. You got some shaky dog officers, y'all. I'm going to tell you. Because if somebody told me somebody was getting raped on my terror, I'm going down there real quick. I'm coming back with the captain. These niggas still got the lights out. They ain't even go on the floor yet. Oh, pussy ass. They ain't even go on the floor yet.
At 38, Booty Bob was a well-known predator, but he tried taking someone's you know what, and he literally slaughtered Booty Bob.
Booty Bob was a guy, man, he was a predator in the Alabama prison system. I did a lot of time in the Alabama prison system, and their prison system is a lot different from the California prison system. It's more gay. And it's not frowned upon in their system like it's frowned upon in the California system. So this dude had been locked up many years preying on white guys. Now, of course, Alabama prison system is predominantly black. The white guys that are in that system, they gonna have to be either killers or girls. You know what I'm saying? You come up in there, hey, you have to get out because dude's gonna come at you. And he was a predator, and he had been trying to get these two white guys. Now, at the time, they was putting 3 to a cell. And it was 2 white guys that he constantly was behind, and they kept telling him, no. One day, another white guy came out of lockup. I knew him, I was in lockup with him, and he moved in the cell, and they told him what Booty Bob kept trying to do to them. So he like, you know what, we gonna deal with Booty Bob. Booty Bob bit the apple. They tricked him into the cell, and they slaughtered him.
At 39, shout out to Tommy G for this. How fast time passes when you're locked for 23 hours in your cell, every single day.
Does time go by fast or slow in here?
It really go by fast to me.
Huh?
I've been locked up like 52 months.
Does that feel like a long time to you?
Nah, it really still feel like I got locked up yesterday.
Is there much to do for fun around here?
It's all about how productive you can be. You feel me? Find a way to keep themselves occupied, keep their mind off of whatever it is going on.
So what's your hope for the future?
That I get to see everybody around in these rooms on the street sooner or later.
I hope for the future is go ahead and get back out there to the streets.
What kind of household did you guys grow up with?
See, I grew up without a mom, so.
Without a mom?
Yeah, you feel me? So, you know, I grew up in an alright household, though. You feel me?
I grew up in a single parent household, you feel me? Most of the time we were living with grandma, so there was always a lot of family around and, you know, living with others. But
would you say your house was stable or was it chaos in your house?
I was stable.
Yeah.
Auntie did great.
Is there anything about jail you actually enjoy or like?
No, there's nothing about here I like or enjoy.
It's just hell.
I wasn't wishing on nobody.
At 40, inmates rip open rival gangster cell to basically unalive him and his cellmate.
The dead body sat on the floor for hours before corrections officials were able to move it.
In 2018, in Lee County Correctional, and I'm gonna show more of the clips here when I'm done. But what you're seeing is a member of the GDs stole from one of the Bloods and the war popped off. And nobody is safe when this shit happens. People have all types of homemade weapons. Sharpened toothbrushes, pieces of metal, broomsticks, which you see over here if you look closely. So the GD thought he was gonna hide. Ain't no hiding in prison. So they went and they busted the door off the hinges with shanks. If you listen to the news people, they say there was bodies on top of bodies, which this is like one of the worst riots that's happened in forever. I think since like Lucasville.
At 41, she did 13 years in prison being locked up with a monster, evil and pathetic girl who snitched on her brother and killed her boyfriend.
I did 13 years in prison. Let me tell you about this monster I was locked up with. This is not a story that I'm just retelling from the internet, okay? This is somebody that I knew in prison. She was one of those girls that, like, when you looked at her, she's really, really pretty, okay? In prison, she was like one of like the pretty popular girls, because it's like that, you know, it's like high school there, I swear. But there was always something like cold and calculating about her. Just very dark. Kind of like mean girl energy, dark energy. Her and I didn't like each other. There was always tension, jealous and petty. She always seemed to have like an issue with other women that she felt threatened by. One of my close friends in prison was kind of like in an on and off sex relationship with her for like 5 years. And honestly, that's what I always figured why she always acted weird towards me, because, you know, I was really good friends with the girl and they weren't together anymore. So I actually ended up watching her documentary. After watching that, it just made everything feel even darker about her, because what she did at just the age of 15 was very evil. So let's get into it. So she had this ex-boyfriend named Seth. She had been like on and off with him for like 3 months. But you know how it is when you're like 15. They were like in love or whatever. Apparently they used to always like to play these little games with each other, like jealousy games. Like, you know, she would always try to make him jealous and he would always try to make her jealous. Well, apparently she took it a little bit too far this time. So she ends up getting with the kid's enemy. I know, enemy at 15, crazy, right? Another boy named Mike. So I guess Seth used to always cry about the girl Amber to his mom, you know, because she was always doing him dirty. And the mom would always, you know, tell him there's other fish in the sea. He was a good looking little kid. He went and got another girlfriend too. So now Amber was really, really pissed. So they're all hanging out one night. There's a trailer that this girl named Charlie owns. And apparently that was where all the teenagers used to hang out because they could drink, get high. And it was out in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, the cops wouldn't come or nothing. So they're all chilling in the trailer one night, drinking. And I guess she had a picture of Seth still in the phone. So Mike, I guess, got really mad and was like, I want to basically, you know, unalive him. He was dead ass serious about this. After he decides that he wants Seth dead, Amber texted Seth and told him that she wanted to work things out with him and told him to come over. She made it sound like she wanted to fix things, and he believed her. I saw the messages on the documentary. She was like, I miss you. I just want to work things out. Da, 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 da. He was like, okay, I'm on my way. Well, when he almost got there, he sent her a text that said, okay, I'm coming up the hill right now. And then he even says to her, Amber, if you're setting me up to get jumped, I will never speak to you again. This is going to be it. It's really going to be over for us. So she was like, no, baby, I would never do that to you. Absolutely not. I just want to work things out. So he gets to the trailer. Second he walks into the trailer, he was shot. But the worst part is he didn't die right away. He actually made it out of the trailer and he tried to run. He almost made it to the road. Literally almost made it to the road. Almost got away. And then they went after him again. And they shot him. They shot him. He fell on the floor. They dragged him back into the trailer. They put him in the bathtub. He's bleeding. and he is not dead yet. So they break his kneecaps because they wanted to fit him into a sleeping bag after they unalived him. So they break all of his bones. They broke his kneecaps. They pulled all of his teeth out. Once everything was broken in his body, they took his body and they put it outside in the backyard, and they made a bonfire out of it. And they all sat around the bonfire, getting drunk, laughing, singing, having a grand old time, while this boy's body was burning right in the middle. Just imagine that level of cruelty. There had to be evil in that house that night. After that, they put his remains into barrels. 5 barrels it took to put this young boy's body in there. And then they went and they dumped the barrels off of a quarry, a cliff, into a body of water of some sort. And they continued partying all night long. I can't even imagine the pain of these kids' parents. They actually did an interview of the kids' parents just recently. They also did an interview on Amber within this past year. It was at my prison that I was at with her. Her own brother was actually involved in this as well. He was one of the main ones. This case was so huge that Amber couldn't even go to the prison that she should have gone to, because she happened to live in the county where the prison is located. And her case was so notorious, everybody knew about it. I want to say about a day or so after, Amber and her brother told their mother some watered down version of the whole story. This was part of the plan. They said that they had just witnessed it, so they acted like they were panicking and stuff. Well, Amber's mother, having no idea that her 2 only children were both involved in this gruesome, horrific slaying, she says, "Come on, we're going to tell the police. I want you to tell them." She took them down to the police station, but their stories were not adding up, at least not to the detectives. So the detectives ended up playing Amber and her brother against each other. And eventually, Amber gave up enough information for them to find out exactly where Seth's body had been dumped. You know, when they found the body, a couple of the barrels had opened up. Some of his body parts had actually seeped out and were never recovered. His remains were scattered. She showed absolutely zero remorse about all of this. Even in the documentary, when I watched her in the courtroom and Seth's family was all there crying, there's a picture that they have of her in that courtroom with this smirk on her face. Just like she had not a care in the world. The brother, at least, he did show a little remorse. That was probably just for the fact that he was caught. And her, nothing. Cold, unbothered, unremorseful. In the recent interview of her, she was asked, "Why did you not stop it when you had the chance?" And she said, and now this is word for word, "I don't know. Maybe I didn't want to." Just like that. That right there tells you everything. That poor boy trusted her. He came there because he thought that she wanted to make things right. So needless to say, Amber ended up getting a life sentence. Even though she was 15 years old, she was still tried as an adult. Her brother as well, he got a life sentence. The boyfriend, Mike, was sentenced to the death penalty. I don't know if that's been lifted by now or if he's been executed yet. I'm not sure. The only reason she did not was because of her age. There's just some people, darkness is just not an act. It's really who they are. And that's scary. Her name is Amber Wright. Look her up, guys. There's a lot of stuff on her. That was a huge case. It was 6 kids, all teenagers, that were arrested for this brutal slaying. If you guys want more true crime stories like this about some of these monsters that I was locked up with, comment more stories, and definitely hit that follow button for more. God bless, guys.
At 42, gambling in prison can literally, and I mean literally, can get you killed. Period.
Huge ass dice game. No, I gotta come get me some of this shit.
And that's what they call disaster just waiting to happen. Shooting dice in prison, let's speak on it. Where I was locked up at, they would not be letting any of this go down. If you got caught with any type of dice, you would get written up. They were obviously playing other games and betting, commissary, etc. But there's a lot of people that would get messed up over this because they would pull up to the table saying they have it at their rack or something and not actually have when they lose the bet. Or the game of spades, tunk, or dominoes. Either way, people will pull up to the table with a little bit of commissary, or they even borrowed that from the store man to put on the table. Either way, a lot of times people lose it and they keep trying to get it back and it just digs them in a deeper hole, and then they end up having to pay the price by getting stomped out or checking in. Stay free, y'all.
At 43, she pushed a girl's face down the toilet as a female inmate. Watch this crazy prison story.
I thought more in the county than anything, and it was always over the toilet. And I remember pushing a girl down the stairs, and psycho, why did I do that? I'm just so glad I'm not that person anymore. I mean, I can get there, but I really do my best not to. I don't place myself in those situations anymore. I don't know. I fought so much in the county, I don't even know just one. I did flush a girl's face down the toilet.
Tell us that story.
Okay, so we were really territorial over our lines. So every 4 rooms is a toilet line. And she plunged out downstairs, which was my line. And you don't talk on my line. And she knew that. And she's talking. And she had her face all the way in the toilet. Because once you get really in that toilet, you don't make the mics anymore. You just put your head in and you cover the outside with a nightgown. And you're in there. Face first. Thank God my skin is good, because all that. And I was like, Tanya, she's talking about me. It was this girl, Tara, and I was like, get off my line. And she was like, you ain't? And she went back in the toilet and started talking, and I held her head in and I flushed the toilet. And we fought. We ended up fighting, and I was beating her up so bad. My best friend, Erica Thomas, came down and was like, get off her, before the police come.
At 44, is gay for the stay a rumor inside women's prison or a real thing? Like, is it true or not?
Yes, totally. I mean, in the sense that sometimes people who identified as straight on the outside came to prison and had girlfriends. Now, sometimes a prison girlfriend meant like sort of just holding hands or like a little bit like a glorified best friend. And sometimes it meant like getting it on in the bathroom. And some girls you'd see come in real femme and they'd leave real butch, and some would come in with husbands and they would leave with girlfriends, and some would stay with their girlfriends afterwards. Like there was one girl that I went through intake with who has now been with her prison girlfriend for like 10 years in the free world, and they're adorable. And some people would have a boyfriend or a husband on the outside and a prison girlfriend on the inside. And those relationships would usually last until you got transferred somewhere else on the draft, is what we called it. So we would say the relationship lasted until draft do us part. And I know another creator said that like if you were gay for the stay, you were probably actually bi before and just sort of didn't realize it. And sure, but I mean, we just called it gay for the stay. Now there's a lot more I could say about this, and I think that probably answers your question, but I could do a part 2 and 3 later.
At 45, this prison guard cries while recalling an event when one inmate cut another inmate balls off without any remorse.
Dudes are trying to cut this guy. This guy, he jumps from one bed to another bed. Remember, we in a module, one bed to another bed. And when he jumped, I seen the inmate. It's on. The brothers that was with me, everybody from 80s, the 90s, they know when jail on is on. There's survival of the fittest in there. Straight up. When they say only the strong survive, the only strong survive. And being I'm strong in there, and you with me, you will survive. If you under my cover, you will survive. Because I'm going to make sure of that. Because everybody don't feel like I feel. I love the job with corrections. Because I did it well. The warden, the chief, everybody tell you, I did it well. Straight up. How they say, badge? We don't need no stinking badges. I ain't need no damn badge. I'm E-Bone. I know how to do this. Straight up. There's nothing but love and respect. And a lot of them didn't give the inmates no love, no respect. Remember, you ain't guilty till proven guilty. But some people don't look at it like that. I did. I'm gonna treat you like a human being. Even when you're guilty, hey, it's God the judge, you the judge. That's it. Long as I make sure you went home the same way you came in on my watch, that's what I live by. Me, a job well done. That's how I feel.
At 46, let me ask you a question. Would you protect a chomo behind bars?
Inmate protects a PDF file in prison.
Protecting a PDF file in prison? Let's get into this. Now, there's some people that are poor and they'll do anything for money. So if somebody comes up to them and offers them, hey, I'll pay you $200-300 a month to make sure that I'm safe, they'll probably do it. Now, this is definitely gonna put this kid in a terrible situation. Let's just say I received information that neither one of these people are no longer with us. I guess shortly after this video, they ended up unaliving both of them. And this is the truth in prison. This is what happens when you stick your neck in situations that you don't belong. So I hope that little $200-300 that he gave you was worth your life, because you're over here protecting people that are hurting kids. And prison justice is a real thing, obviously. Look what happened. If you have bad charges like this, you're immediately the #1 target in prison. You're more targeted than someone that told on somebody that stole from somebody. People with these charges are not allowed to be in general population, and especially people that are trying to protect them. And that's facts.
At 47, what happens to child abusers in prison? Warning, not for weak.
What happens to child abusers in prison? Child abusers are treated as bad as child molesters, if not worse. The psychology behind it is all the same. So many of us grew up in homes where we were abused physically, mentally, sexually, or you might be a father yourself and just missing your kids, whatever it may be. When you read someone beating a child viciously to the point they went to prison, what they'll always try to do first is say they were disciplining, old school. They'll say something like that, or they'll blame it on their wife, or they'll blame it on somebody else, as always. They even blame it on the child sometimes. And they get beaten beyond any type of recognition. There is no extortion. There is no talking about it. Skulls are cracked. They're getting thrown off the top tier by the officers. Every single one of their meals, someone's pissing, jizzing, they're getting razor tagged. In case y'all don't know what that is every time they go somewhere, someone has a razor in their pocket and they try to slice them across the face and put that as a number as they keep a tally. And the psychology behind that is when somebody gets killed, of course, you could face a life sentence, and that is what it is. You take the risk for doing something you feel is righteous. However, another way to kill somebody without actually killing somebody in prison is slicing them every time, every opportunity, to the point their face looks like a barbecue grill. So for the rest of their life, they're marked as chomos. They'll put tattoos with poisoned ink inside of their body, writing child beater, coward. And what I've noticed about them is they'll get visits a lot of time from their family members, and it's almost like they don't think they did something that bad. They look at it as an accident. And the first time they have a visit, an officer will run to one of us or whoever, it may be, and tell us, hey, this is their address, this is their information. And somebody will walk up to him and say, hey, this is your family. This is all their information. You need to have them send all this money to this Cash App in this situation, or else you're gonna be getting extorted in and out of here. And it's gonna be because of what you did to that child. I've seen it to where even one of the most sickest situations that I've witnessed was that a woman who had a child with a guy that was in prison for hurting the kid so bad that it was mentally never the same, and she still came to visit him. It happened in a town that somebody was very familiar with and was a friend of the family, and for some reason she was never arrested because she left him with him, whatever it may be. It was an accident. While they were in visitation, they were all sitting down in like this little cafeteria setting. Another inmate filled up a hot boiling water that the canteen man gave him to put into the microwave, where he put it on 2 or 3 minutes in a little tumbler cup, and he mixed it up with maybe mustard, salt, whatever he put in there, and just hit her right in the face with it. And that's just what it is. When you picture a child getting hurt like that and they're not knowing what's going on, it's supposed to be the people that are supposed to protect them. And a lot of men in prison, I don't care how tough they try to act, the person that's attacking these chomos and these child abusers and these rapists are the little boy inside of them that could never fight back at the time when they saw the system fail their sister, themselves, or just growing up in the juvenile prison system. You see the officers use that tough guy prison, test the heart, really because they're sick. They abuse, their sexual assaults, their sexual just complete deviance. And they hide it under the test the heart. Yeah, you want to live here, you want to be at this youth offender camp. Man, when I was there, I saw a kid get beat to death under the guise of your daddy should have disciplined you. Well, that officer just lost his job. And all they did was fire him. He was a corrections officer who thought he was a drill instructor, more confused than a billy goat on AstroTurf. Well, a couple of years later, I don't know what happened, but he was gunned down over an unrelated incident. And I don't like to call it this, the CP, the child porn, because it should be called something else, but in technical terms and law, that's what it is. And they'll say it was a hustle. That's what they'll say in there. And, you know, before you know it, somebody will step to an officer and say, hey, that's somebody from my town. Or an officer will say to you, that's somebody from my town. And they will put you in that cell to the point where if you wanted to, you could decapitate them. There's no love. You hurt children, women, or any of that shit, it's something beyond just the money, the respect, because you have men in there that could care less about any of these situations. They just want to do violence, but not to people. They don't want to be bullies. They want to do it to people they feel deserve it. Some type of karmic lubricant, if that makes sense. So they take their rage and their violence that isn't even directed towards the situation, but they know the chomos and the pedophiles and the children beaters and the rapists and all that, they are the ones that they can do it to time and time again and get rewarded. That's it, period. If you hurt women, children, on any type of level like that, this will be your life. The toilets, the poison tattoo ink, that's what it is. Stay out, stay free, and leave our kids the fuck alone. Us.
At 48, secret hack inmates used to make mouth guards. Why? Well, to not get their teeth knocked out in a prison fight.
Number one prison hack, the mouth guard.
So you can see in this video, these are two guys about to get into it when they're in their cell. But you can see them like rolling something up and putting it in their mouth. What they're doing is they're taking tissue and they're balling it up and getting it a little wet, and then they stick it in their mouth, kind of like a mouth guard. No, it is a mouth guard. That way, when they're getting into it, they're not fucking their lips up or their teeth up. I've also seen people do this for sports like basketball or even flag football in prison. That way, if the CO comes by and sees them with like a black eye or a missing tooth or a busted lip, they can't get in no trouble. So, number one prison hack, a mouth guard.
I'm done talking about it. Ask me again, I'm gonna beat you again.
At 49, this male inmate was gay, so he gave another inmate a good ass head in the cell.
All right, y'all, so let me get into a story time about how basically I turned my cellmate out to be gay. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so basically I got locked up around like 2020, 2021, around COVID. It was a little bit after me and Kaya a little bit. And I was in there for 8 months. So boom, I got locked up. Cool. I got locked up like kind of like somewhere during the weekend. So basically I had to wait a couple of days till my court date, which was that Monday, and they denied my bond. So boom, I get back to the back with the niggas, you feel me? Like I'm back there with the niggas, you feel me? Like I got this tight ass jumper on, like cause they didn't have my size at the moment. So I had this tight ass jumper on. So the niggas clearly saw that it was a faggot on the block, you feel me? The big mama died. Okay, so boom, I get to my room and it was the nigga already in my room, and he was basically like doing too much. Like, oh, I'm not being in no room with no faggot, blah, 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 blah. Send me to the hoe, send me to the hoe, send me to the hoe. In my head, I'm like, what the fuck is the hoe? I've never been in jail before, so I'm like, what the fuck is going? But then I'm also feeling a little offended, and I'm somewhat going off as well. Like, Nigga, I don't give a fuck, bitch. I'm the biggest faggot, bitch. What up? Bitch, I'm going in. So boom, they end up getting him out the room, and he ended up walking across the red line. I guess when you walk across the red line in Chatham County Jailhouse, when you walk across the red line, you go into the hole. So yeah, it was only like a few reasons that you could go to the hole. You could claim that suicide. You can cross the red line, and like some niggas used to say, oh, we put that nigga on the dough, shit like that. All right, so boom, we gonna fast forward. I'm in my room by myself. I don't have nobody in my room. I'm cool with that. You feel me? Fine. Boom, I goes out to basically come out for my time, and I realized a few individuals that I know, you feel me, that know me from school. I wouldn't say they really know me, but they know me. They know that I get down, you feel me? So instantly, I'm kind of like feeling like a little relieved because of the fact that, okay, some people know me in here. I don't really have to act a fool, bitch, because they know how I get down. So boom, I comes out, I gets on the phone, bitch, I'm acting on the phone, I'm cussing my baby mama out, cause bitch, she the reason why I'm in here, so I'm basically going in on her, but also trying to be nice at the same time. I get out the phone, goes to the shower, cool. As I'm walking to the shower, a nigga, room was near the shower. As I'm walking to the shower, I kind of like glance, and niggas got their ding out, girl. I was like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? But you know me, I'm looking. My freaky ass. I'm looking. So boom, I get the look in. I'm like, okay, I see what you're working with. So boom, how the showers operated. It was like a door, and you just walk in. If you ever been to a locker room, it's kind of like that. Or a gym room, it's kind of like that. And I was able to like have my door cracked a little bit. And by me having my door cracked a little bit, the dude that had his ding out, his room was kind of like facing towards like the officer's desk. But if he was to angle himself in the room a little bit, he would have been able to see right into my shower. So while I'm planning all that out, I'm doing my big one in the shower. I'm talking about making it clap. I'm wet, all types of shit. Let's get it, bitch. Mind y'all, it's my first day in the motherfucking jailhouse, y'all. Like, it's not my first day in the jailhouse, but it's my first days back here with the dudes. Mind y'all, because I've been in booking cell for the whole weekend until I went to court. So, I was basically just being a little slut, y'all. Don't judge me, don't judge me, don't judge me. All right, so when I get out the shower, once I get out the shower, old dude had kind of like knocked on his door. And he was just like, so, what's up with you? And I was just like, nothing. You feel me? I had my dreads. They was wet and stuff. So I looked like a bitch. Like, no shade. I was that girl in the jailhouse. Everybody wanted a little bit of me, Big Papa Dime. You hear me? So, boom. We get the macking at the door. The officer's like, hey, get away from there. Da-da-da-da-da. So, boom, I heard him get the fuck on. Because, babe, I don't want nothing else going other than what the fuck I already got going. So, let me get to my room. By the time I got to my motherfucking room, I got a cellmate. Irritated already. So boom, the cellmate was like, okay, I'm gonna step out right quick so you can get dressed. Because I didn't bring none of the stuff with me. Because like I said, I was under the impression that I was in the room by myself. The only thing I had on was my jumper. I didn't get dressed inside of the shower. Because like I said, y'all, I was being a little slut. Okay, bear with me. And I was on a time limit. So I really had to hurry up. So boom, I get finished getting dressed. I walk back out. Cool. I'm out there mingling. Not really mingling, but I'm out there like, everybody asking me questions, trying to figure out who the fuck I am. Some people already know who I am. We chit-chatting, catching up. Cool, right? All I know is my cellmate come to me and was just like, hey, I'm just gonna ask you real quick, like, you gay? Why? Like, why does it matter? But yeah. And he was just like, oh, I ain't got nothing against y'all. I just want you to know I don't get down like that. So don't try to come at me. First of all, red flag number 1. Bitch, why the fuck do you think I'm finna get down with you or come at you or anything like that just because you a nigga? Be for real. Yes, I'm gay. Doesn't mean I want every motherfucking nigga in the motherfucking block, bitch. Just because I'm gay. Like, make it make sense. I have standards. I have boundaries. Thank ya. Have standards, have boundaries, but I'm sitting there getting naked for the motherfucking nigga at the door. Girl! But anyway, let's get back into it. So boom. He was just like, all right, cool, wow, right? That was the end of that. We get back to the room because it's time for us to go back to our room. And we sitting there, we like, we kind of like having a casual conversation. I'm really not trying to talk to him like that because you already have in your mind that a nigga trying to get down with you, and that was not even the case at all. But y'all, my cellmate was not ugly at all. He wasn't ugly. He wasn't like down bad looking. He was very cute. So honestly and truly, if I was to try to get down with you, could you blame me? So boom, we sitting there chatting, and this nigga gonna slip up and say, well, like, have you ever gave like a straight dude head before? So I'm looking at him like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, duh. Like, what are you talking about here? And then I was like, what are you really trying to ask? He was just like, well, I never got no head from no nigga before. I don't really think that's gay. I think it's levels to it. I think if you just keep doing it, that's what makes you gay. And then I just end up asking him, I was like, hold on, pause. Have you ever did something with a nigga before? He was like, well, I was in prison and it was a situation happened where a nigga had gave me some head and like, that was that. Did you like it? Yeah, it was straight. Nigga, you gay. In my head, I'm like, nigga, you're gay. Like, what the fuck is you talking about here? Like, bitch, you're gay. There's nothing here to talk about. So instantly, I was just like, okay, cool. Like, you feel me? Boom. We goes to sleep. That was that. Right? The next day falls over. We wakes up. This nigga waking me up. What are you waking me up for? Oh, it's time to eat breakfast. Man, I don't eat no fucking breakfast on the out, nigga. And I know you don't eat no motherfucking breakfast on the out. So why the fuck is you waking me up for breakfast? Be fucking for real. And why do you even care that much? Get out my face. So now I'm low-key getting kind of irritated with him because as the few nights go on, he just was overly doing shit. I'm talking about shit. That nigga started ripping sheets. Start motherfucking creating shit in the motherfucking room that they said is contraband, but bitch, you creating sheets and got spoons and shit. Like, it was just a lot going on. This nigga had a sheet covering up where you use the bathroom, all types of shit. We had curtains in that bitch. It was a lot going on. So boom, I would say about maybe the 4th or 5th day when we was in the room, I kind of got bored. I'm not even gonna hold you. And I was like, hey, you want to play spades? So we get to playing spades. Cool. So I had kind of like brought up again about the whole head situation. Because once again, I'm horny. I'm bored. I'd have been here 5 motherfucking days. Bitch, I'm irritated. I haven't jacked nothing off. Bitch, I'm irritated. Like, the only action that I got is the shower. And then that nigga ended up doing some stupid shit and going to the hole. So I had to kind of like double back. So boom, I asked him on some casual shit like, you feel me? Have you had, like, what do you think about getting some more, getting head again? That nigga was just like, I mean, if you want to. If I want to. Y'all gonna have to stay tuned for part 2, okay?
At 50, how do inmates release sexual frustration behind bars? Well, there's a whole toy for that. Prison Fifi.
Prison date night hack. How to make a prison Fifi. All you need is gloves, a little warm water, a towel or a shirt, and maybe some baby oil and Vaseline. And just follow these steps. You could even make this at home if you wanted to. No arguing. No bitching, just a good time. Prison date night hack.
At 51, talking about Prison Fifi, Here's another inmate explaining what is it and how to use it. For good, obviously.
Know what a fifi is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would make fifis? How would they make a fifi?
So they'd get a glove, like a surgical glove thing, and then I'm not good at explaining this, but they'd fill it up with warm water, they'd tie it a certain way, and then it's like, I'm off to bed. Yep, go for it. Sure you'll nut it out.
Was that the first time you ever found out what a fifi was?
Yeah.
And for the audience, you want to explain to them what a fifi is?
Oh, yeah. So essentially it's their way of having a companion, essentially. They'll go and have sex with it because it's apparently very much the same. So once they did that, it's like, mate, I'm locking you in. You know, you do it yourself. You clean it up yourself.
Now, would they get in trouble for that, or?
I didn't see anyone get in trouble. And not that I think it's a good thing, but it's not hurting anyone. If anything, it's going to make them less aggressive, isn't it? That's how I looked at it.
At 52, the craziest thing she saw as a prison nurse was in a maximum security prison.
All right, y'all, so we're running things a little bit differently around here today. We're doing a pillow time story time on prison nursing stories because I just got off work and I'm tired and we can do it, so we're doing it. And of course, I'm Desiree. Everything I do it big. So with that being said, I'm gonna retell a story that almost got me banned from TikTok. Hell yeah. So, the craziest thing I've seen is a men's maximum security prison nurse. By the way, yes, I know I got big guns. Oh yeah, what's up? So ladies and gents, let's begin. So my background history right quick is trauma ICU to level 1 trauma facility. And this is still the craziest thing I've ever effing seen. You know, I'm just living my best life, working another day in prison, right? So then I get a phone call and it's like, ring! Hey Nurse Knight, we have an emergency and it's a bloodbath. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. So, you know, I snap me on some rubber gloves and I get ready to go get dirty, boy. So I come showing up ready to dive headfirst in blood, and man, I should have worn a fucking hazmat suit for this bullshit. I was like, damn, that's a lot of blood. Where in the hell is that even coming from? Of course, an artery did get injured in this. So that was getting fixed, right? However, that was not the only source of our problem. So Big Guy decided to give us a little assistance and showed us a Fruit Ninja paired of apples, man. 2 of them. Alright, y'all know why that's a little dramatic. More like a Fruit Ninja paired of like the little cutie tangerine things. Become a prison nurse, they said. It will be fun, they said. Like, this is the stuff that should be like in the fine print when you sign up for the job. So, all my lovely 123K, I love y'all, by the way. Any of y'all that I'm like persuading into prison nursing, like, this is what you're signing up for, okay? I got lifelong trauma from this. So moral of the story, Fruit Ninja is meant to be just a mobile video game.
At 53, what happens when an inmate takes a CO as a hostage?
What happens when an inmate takes a CO hostage? Number 1, it's gonna be immediate lockdown. Inmates are gonna be ordered back to their cells. The alarms are gonna go off. Wah, 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 wah. And then like an emergency response team's gonna be called, like this. And if they have to, they're gonna call in SWAT, then a National Guard. Then the negotiation begins, like a crisis negotiator. They'll wanna know why they're doing it. What can they do to help? Nothing. Give me my food. Then they'll storm the area, like right here, again. Flashbangs, gas, beanbag machines, then the medical, then criminal charges and an investigation, because you're going to jail. I remember guys always being like, let's take this bitch over. I'm like, no. Let's take this over right back to my cell. You can get kidnapping, assault, attempted unaliving, threats, you know. Then after all that, you're gonna get sent to the hole. Well, you'll be in the hole for all the charges. Like institutional consequences, which probably means you're going to a lockdown facility. See ya, bye. Watch the rest of this footage.
At 54, she got a prison girlfriend as soon as she went to prison. Here's why, actually.
Tell us about the girlfriend you got. Is that like right away?
Pretty much. Yep, her name was Nisha. She was a black girl. But she helped me through my whole sentence. Like, you know, she had been in prison for like, I think her sentence was 15 years. I mean, but I was new. I never really, I mean, I'd been with girls before, but not like have a personal relationship with one. In there, it's totally different because that's normal. Like, if someone's been in there for longer than 3 years and they're like young and, or you know what I'm saying? Most of them are going to get a girlfriend if they have a long time. She just helped me through so much. Like, but she was like a thief. Like, you know how people be like, one time, like, people's clothes would go missing off the end of their bed, and then, like, people would find the clothes and Nisha's stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, so it was really, that kind of stuff was really, I was stunned, because I had money in prison, you know. She didn't have a lot of money. So, you know, she probably got with me for the money, but I didn't care, because it helped my time go by.
What would they do to her if they caught her stealing?
Nothing.
So it's laid back.
Yeah, girls, it's not like probably men's prison, especially not at the reception center. I mean, people would probably fight sometimes. I mean, she's fought a couple times, but...
At 55, an inmate exposes the truth about homosexuals behind bars.
There was this guy at Calipat, his name was Pumpkin, right? And he had been in the pen for like 30 years. He was an old reg. All the old guys all respected this dude, you know? He was just an old prison punk. And he got transferred up to Kern Valley, and he got transferred up to a medical facility, laid over in Kern Valley, and this dude killed him in the cell. And I think what ended up happening, and everybody was like talking about it and stuff, but what we really think, meaning the guys that like have just known all of this type is Pumpkin's not gonna go into a cell with a Pumpkin is 30-year vet of being a homosexual in prison.
Right.
Like, that guy instincts are pretty good.
Of course.
And what happens a lot is these guys fool around with these dudes in the cell, don't want it to get out, and then do something like that. Right. So consensual, I don't know. You know, it's like all of that.
Damn, that's wild.
I don't know what consensual really means sometimes inside of prison.
Well, I meant like straight men that are never coming home, that maybe even are married or have families, but...
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And on the S&Y side, really, because you don't have any openly gay guys on the main line. The main line they're not allowed onto. They stopped that back in like the 90s.
I heard that in these really, really crazy days of the LA County Jail, they put the homosexuals in pink.
No, they were
Is that not true?
Not when I was down there. When I was down there, you had guys that were, if they weren't in blue, so you had orange for high power, you had the clown suit, which was like blue and white checkered for the gang unit up on the 3000 floor, specifically for validated gang members like NLR. Like, you know, you're not just gonna be a Crip in there, because Crip isn't necessarily like a prison validated. You would have to be like a Blue Note or a CCO or like a UBN if you're a blood type of thing. But it's they had these checkered ones, right, where it was like white and blue, and then a white and blue pant leg or something. And then you had Twin Towers, which was yellow and blue. But at Twin Towers, you also had a certain way that it was like a yellow top and a blue bottom was the gays or something. I forget, but it fit into like the yellow and blue thing.
And what are the institutions, what is their thinking behind doing that?
So that way, as far as what, color coordinating like the uniforms and stuff like that?
Yeah,
or just
for
mean
gang
segregating
members
them?
and for
to try to isolate,
gay
segregate,
people.
make it easy to identify. I'm just, you know,
yeah. Because that seems like a wild, like, Nazi thing to do. Like, hey, we're gonna put these in yellow and blue. You know what I mean? Like, that
But
seems
they
like
don't go like in the general population in yellow and blue. So it's not, they go to specifically a whole gay dorm
so it's
unit.
I see.
They're
I
not
see.
like, you don't have, they're completely separate and segregated from the general population.
So that's just an easy way for the guards to be like, okay, you go over there.
Yeah.
You go over there.
Yeah.
It seems it seems wildly antiquated, just politically in the politically correct era. That's wild to think about.
Yeah,
that gay people are that much of a target.
Oh yeah,
that they have to be isolated and kind of ostracized by the facility.
Yeah, but it's also too like they start a lot of man. You know, they start up, and dudes get jealous over them, and they like a lot of the drama. Like they have a whole thing. You know, I remember when I got to Calipat after that whole thing with Cub and Casper, you had a full-blown melee between the gays and their boyfriends.
Like a riot.
Yeah, but it's a riot is on a bigger scale. Right. A melee is like 6 people, like 6-on-6 type of thing. You know,
and a lot of them have brolic. A lot of these dudes are homosexuals, but they are giant inmates, bro.
Yeah. You have a lot of dudes that are they're just because a person is gay, you know, it doesn't mean that they don't have
dangerous.
Strength, that they're not dangerous.
Right.
They're not like soft just because they're gay.
Yeah,
you know?
No, it's a fact.
These guys are in the pen. And
that's a fact.
They're going through.
At 56, here's the biggest lesson this inmate realized after being locked up for 12 years straight in solitary confinement. I like this one personally. Watch this.
So something I have realized getting out of prison, I did 12 years straight, and I haven't even been out a year, is that what was essential for your survival at one point in your life will actually hinder you in another point in your life. So you just have to stay vigilant and understand your experience doesn't lie to you, but your experience does not tell you the whole truth. Don't be trapped in a bubble of what you perceive, and just allow yourself to stretch your mind and continue to keep learning. Because since I got out of prison, there's been a lot of things that I'm like, oh, well, even subconscious, I'm like, I know how to deal with this. And I would deal with it in the same way I did when I was in prison, because I grew up in prison. So everything I did, it wasn't like I'm doing this because I'm in prison. It's just like I'm doing this because I'm doing this, because I couldn't separate prison with my development. However, once I'm on the street now, I'm seeing like, okay, well, if I respond like this or try this, it's not only not going to give me the results I want, but it's actually going to hinder me, even though this was very essential to my success and survival back then. So, you know, it's a little food for that.
At 57, this inmate fell in love with the female guard behind bars.
Did you hear the story about the inmate who fell in love with one of the guards at his prison, and it turned his whole world upside down? So this inmate said he was doing a long-term bid, just biding his time, not thinking of much, when a new guard comes into his unit, and she's an Indian chick, and he said she was very cute. Because she was attractive, all the inmates was fluttering around her, trying to get her attention, talking to her, flirting with her, but he said he didn't pay her any attention because she's a guard. So one day she comes to him and she's like, well, hello, you. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, what's your name? And then he tells her his name. And he's like, wait a minute, who's your cell? And then she says, my cellie's name. And she said, why do y'all have the same name? And he says, because my cellie is my father. And she said, you're in prison with your father? And he says, yes, he have 2 life sentences. And she was like, wow. And it made her want to talk to him more. So he said she was always like coming by his cell saying hi. When he'll go in the shower, she'll go stand outside the shower to have a conversation with him and peeking at him while he's taking the shower. And one day he came to her and he was like, so what it is? And she's like, what do you mean? And then he was like, I think we should talk outside of here. And she said, what do you mean by that? And he said, you know what I mean. And she was just quiet and smiling. And he said, look, don't say nothing. In the shower, right where they had the toilet paper rolls at, I taped a piece of paper underneath the shelf. It has my phone number in it. All you got to do, when I leave, I won't talk to you for the rest of the day. Go in there and get the number. And I want you to call my cell phone and call it with a block number so I don't have yours so we could talk. And she said, what? And he said, I don't have to say nothing else. It's up to you. And he walked off. So he was like, he went back to his cell. He talked to his dad. He told his dad, well, his dad knew he had a cell phone, and you know that's illegal to have in jail. So he told his dad, well, I'm gonna have to use the phone tonight. And his dad was like, to do what? He said, he said the guard out there, I told you, I'm gonna get her. I gave her the number. And his dad was like, what do you mean you gave her the number? I gave her the number so she can call me, so we could talk. You crazy? All you're doing right now is sending them people over here to bother us. I already got 2 life sentences. You gonna give me another charge for this? And he's like, so what if you get another charge? You already got 2 life sentences anyway. He's like, I don't want another charge anyway. He's like, his dad's like, look, you gave them our number, which allows them to verify that you had a phone. As soon as you answer that phone, they gonna bust up in here and then they gonna search everything and then you gonna go into the hole. Why would you do that to yourself? And he's like, nah, I think she liked me. I think it's gonna be something. His dad was like, what? It ain't gonna be nothing. What's wrong with you? Don't even put us in that situation. And he was like, Dad, I got it. So later on that evening, the phone does ring. It's a blocked number. And he's thinking it's her. And the dad is like, oh my gosh. And then he didn't answer. He said 5 minutes later, it rings again. He answers. And he's like, hello. And then it's her. And she says, hey, big head. And he says, hey, little head. And then they start laughing. And then they start talking. And then the dad tap on the bed like, oh yeah, she down? Tell her to bring in some stuff for us, man. Get her on our team. And he's like, leave me alone. Let me just talk to the girl. So he started talking to her. They become good.
At 58, lesson: never ever boast about your crimes if you're a chomo or sex offender.
If their kid ends up committing a crime or whatever, he's going to go to jail, right? We'll just say he goes to jail for 5 years in like a state prison. Well, when he gets out, we're not leaving him here in California. He's going back to Mexico or back to El Salvador, and it's like he knows nobody. So he's got to come back across, you know? So, and then just the life of being in prison, you know, those guys just don't have the opportunities in there, you know? I would say it's something that you just can't reform, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really teach them how to get out on the outside and become a normal citizen. You know what I mean? It's going to be up to them, and which is tough. I mean, Mark, look at you and I. Would you hire somebody that was in there for murder, you know what I mean, for 15 years, you know, and he committed, let's say, 10 murders, and now he wants to work for you? You know what I mean? So I do see the struggle that those guys go through, you know what I mean? Because I've met a lot of them in there, you know, and if you listen to their story, you would be surprised at how they got caught up in the gang business and now they can't get out, you know? Man, just bringing me to a story. So one of my orderlies, he worked for me for about 5 years.
You say an orderly. What is an orderly?
So the orderly is like somebody that, let's say, cleans up your office. He basically works for you. So you're like, hey, can you sweep up the corridor, or can you, you know, mop this area? So they're called orderlies. And I remember him, man. He, you know, like I said, I knew him for 5 years. He's getting ready to get out, Mark. So he's got like a week left to get out. And I'm like, hey, man, good luck. You know, you got something lined up, man? You know, I even wish I could have helped him out a little bit, you know? And he says, nah, man. He said, I'll be back in here. And I'm like, what do you mean, man? Like, why would you want to come back here? And he said, I have no choice. He said, I already got orders to put it.
He was a prisoner.
Yeah.
But he was also helping you.
Well, he was my orderly. So he swept up, you know, and
But he's basically a prisoner.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
so when he gets out, he's still thinking he's going to end up back in?
Well, the crazy thing, Mark, is he was getting out in a week. And he tells me, man, I'm going to come right back in. Like, you're going to see me, you know? And I just couldn't believe it, because he tells me he has orders to kill somebody. So he does the hit, and I see him about, I don't know, maybe about a year later, he's back in prison. He ended up doing what he had to do, you know? And so you ask those questions about how they get institutionalized and keep coming back. Like, you know, they know nothing else, you know, is to kind of do that, you know?
Are there any corrections that actually happen?
corrections.
Yeah, I mean, like, you call it a correctional facility. Does anybody ever really reform?
If I had to put like a number on it, I'd say 1%. I do know a few that have gotten out and have done well, but it's pretty rare. It takes a really strong individual to kind of forget that life, and come out and be somebody else. And kind of before I had to let you go, Mark, I don't know if you remember this, but there was this Caucasian guy, a young kid. He was like, I want to say like 18 years old, 19, and this was years ago. I'm going to say maybe 15, 20 years ago. I don't remember if you remember this story, but he rapes this little black girl at State Line. And sure enough, he comes to the penitentiary. Well, he's boasting, right? He comes into SHU first, and he comes in boasting, like, I raped this little black girl, and, I'm going to become an Aryan Brotherhood, and, I'm going to move up the ranks because of what I did. The interesting thing about that is when the Aryan Brotherhood found out he was there, they basically fed him to the blacks so they could wipe him out. And what they did was they got him into one of our rec areas where they play pool. And I ended up getting in there, but I didn't see the initial attack. But they basically broke the sticks off, and they just went to town on him. When I got in there, he had about 4 cue sticks just sticking out of him. So they smashed him. And why they did that is because, they didn't agree with that.
But the blacks attacked him, or the Aryans?
Yeah, the blacks attacked him. They actually let the blacks attack him. The whites actually got him in there, and then they walked out. Blacks came in and did what they did. Just because he ended up raping a little black girl, and that's against probably everybody's code in there. Pedophiles
get treated very differently, don't they?
Pedophiles stick around maybe about a month until they find out what they did, and a lot of the murders are based on those pedophiles. I've seen so many pedophiles just get destroyed in there.
At 59, this prison code can save your life if you get locked up behind bars.
Come on, goddamn.
Movie on 12-6-5. Prison tips on what not to do when you yell these calls. These are all calls we do for when the CO's coming. For when we're doing things we're not supposed to be doing. Like doing tattoos, talking on the cell phone, the nasty. What? Going up. Doing Tucci. Just all things we're not supposed to be doing. But these guys right here acting crazy how they all just took off running, that's something you don't want to do. Because the CO is going to see you guys running and scattering, and then they're going to be thinking that something's happening that's not supposed to be happening. Oh, I forgot about putting in work. And then they're going to want to review the cameras and see what happened and why everybody's taking off running. Then when they review the cameras, you're all fucked. So, prison tip, when you say 6-5 or the 12 or cops are coming or whatever you say, don't take off running because everyone's going to get in trouble.
Get up, get on up.
At 60, insane ways female inmates use to communicate with male inmates for real.
Talking in the toilet. So the boys, in Duval County, we're on the 3rd floor. So the 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th is all guys. So you're bored. You plunge out the toilet. You sit on it like this. You plunge it. All the water comes out just from the pressure. And then we would make microphones out of the tissue roll and styrofoam cups. And then you stick the styrofoam cup in, you stick all the tissue rolls. We would take the pads, rip the pads apart, destruction of state property, rip the pads apart, tape the rolls together, and then we had a microphone. And we would just sit. All the love I had in the toilet, all the toilet relationships that I was getting out here and getting married to and shenanigans, but it passed time. I met rappers in the toilet that would rap to me. So that's how I passed a lot of my time. I talked in the toilet, and before you knew it, it was count time. But we had this officer, Miss Shores. I loved her. She loved me so much, but she was a stickler for the toilet. So she would call out on the intercom because some cells, they can see you like talking on the toilet, and they'll be like, Nicolazi in 71, get your face out of the commode. And you're like, oh shoot, I'm caught. And you hurry up and flush the toilet because they didn't want you talking in there. We even learned how to fish. So they would fish kites from 5th floor, 4th floor to the 3rd floor to us. And it was crazy. Like, tie that to a string, wrap it in some saran wrap from one of the bologna sandwiches, and fish it down. Like, it got crazy, but you learn survival skills. Like, you learn how to maneuver time, master solitude, really master timing. Like, the things I cooked in the county, Thanksgiving meals we had, it was crazy.
At 61, watch staff member at halfway house tries to kiss an inmate. Regrets instantly.
Staff member at a halfway house tries to smooch an inmate and gets mopped up.
Staff member at a halfway house tries to smooch an inmate and gets mopped up, literally. Let's speak on it. I mean, if you're gonna be a grown man and just try to approach another grown man with their mouth out, you should expect to get popped in your mouth. No diddy. But seriously, what do you expect? But at the same time, you don't really know the dynamic of this video. For all you know, that inmate could have been on some DL type stuff, and once he got closer to the door, didn't want to do it no more. But comment your thoughts below. What do you think really happened here? Stay free, y'all.
At 62, imagine meeting the exact same dude who snitched on your father. Well, this went true for this specific inmate.
While I'm in state jail, I happen to go in the kitchen and I see one of the guys that's on the paperwork that snitched on my dad. So I'm like, it's my duty. Like, you know, you got about 25 years, that's his life, you know? So I'll never forget, this dude's name was Steven, and we're in the scullery, and I walk in and I'm like, hey, and he turns around. I'm like, hey, you remember Gary Simon? He's like, what? Wow, drilled him in the nose and just shattered his shit. Hit him a couple times, he drops. I turn thinking I'm gonna get out of there, and they got the bear mace in my face. My first time ever getting really maced. Like, oh shit, cuffed me. And you know, they want you to suffer. So I'm like, got my hands behind my back. I can't wash my face, nothing. And you know, you can get into fights in state jail and it's not a big deal. But when you like really hurt somebody, like I shattered his nose, I was thinking I was gonna get free world charges. That was my first taste of seg, you know, being locked in a little cell for 23 hours a day, no human contact, no one to talk to.
At 63, what her first 48 hours looked like after being locked up for 9 years behind bars.
You guys probably already know this, but my name's Taylor. I did 9 years in a Florida women's prison when I was 15 years old, and here are some things that I did as soon as I got out. Everybody has a different reentry experience. Mine was super overwhelming. My anxiety was through the roof. I really just couldn't focus, but I was just getting out of prison. I had to get down to business. So first things first, for all felons in the state of Florida, I don't know about anywhere else, but in Florida, you must register as a felon in the county that you are going to be living in. That process is pretty straightforward. You literally just go to wherever the registration office is in your county. You fill out some forms, you pay a little fee, which I think was like $5 or $10. I don't know, it was super cheap. You take another mugshot, so they're gonna do a forward shot, side shots. They're gonna document any scars or tattoos or anything that they will need to identify you in the event that you reoffend. And basically that's it. You give them your address and all the basic information that they need. After I did that, I went straight to my probation office. Now, this doesn't apply to every felon that's getting out of prison because not everybody is coming home with probation. Me specifically, I do have probation, so I had to register within 48 hours. I did it within 24. So like the day that I came home that next morning after the registration, I went straight to the probation office. That process is a bit more personal. You are going to meet your assigned probation officer. She's going to go over your terms and condition of probation. She's going to go over all the stipulations that apply to you alone. So what applies to me might not apply to the person sitting next to me. Whereas I don't have a curfew, you know, Susie Lou next to me might. So it's just different for everybody. They will drug test you. They're going to go over your rights. They're going to go over any restitution, any court costs, any probation fees that you have to pay. They're going to go over like minimal payments that you can make a month. So it's pretty straightforward also. It is a little like awkward, at least for me, it was a little awkward because I'd never been. I literally was just like walking in as the newbie. Everybody's just sitting there waiting for the probation officer, and I just felt like all eyes were on me, but really nobody cares. Now that I do it every month, it's like whatever now. But yeah, it was a little uncomfortable, but I've been doing it for a little while now. After probation, I did go to the bank because I went to a work release center for a period of time before I came home. So I did collect money that DOC held for me. So I just went to a bank, opened up a new bank account, got a debit card, got my money transferred, and that way I could just start living and acting like a grown-up. And for anybody missed the beginning part, I was 15 when I went to prison and I was 24 when I came home. So I felt super cool with my new bank account and my new debit card. Like, I was on my grown people shit. Okay, but for y'all, after I went to the bank, my mom treated me to getting my toes and my nails done. So we went to the nail salon, they went to massaging, they went to scraping, they went to doing all the good things and getting all the icky, sticky stuff off of me from prison. So I felt really good about that. And yeah, I just really started feeling like a girl again, because the entire time in prison, you really just try your hardest to feel as feminine as possible because they make you feel like a low down, dirty dog. But anywho, that happened like my first 24 hours being home. The day after that, I went clothes shopping. I got some shoes. I stuck to very basic, versatile clothing because I really had no idea what my style was. I had no idea what was trending. I had no idea what looked good on me. So it was just really trial and error when it came to finding my style and what I actually enjoy and am comfortable in. I just remember being really overwhelmed because I really had no idea what was my thing, you know? Those are just the more important things I did as soon as I got home, because best believe as soon as I got home, I jumped in that shower with no shoes on. Because, you know, in prison, you don't take a shower with no slides or Crocs or any type of shoe on. Like, that's a big no-no. They will talk about you up and down, and like really you just don't want to do that anyways because it's just so disgusting in there. So I never took my shoes off. I never took a shower with no shoes on in the last 9 years. That is the very first thing I did as soon as I got home. But that's it for now, you guys. But I'm gonna tell you this, on January 1st, we are locking in. Like, if you want to know my story, if you have questions that need to be answered, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know, because I'm getting on my grind this year with this content creation. And like, after everything I went through, I have some stuff to tell y'all, and I just need y'all to listen. So like, share, follow, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
At 64, this inmate met a booty bandit in Lebanon Correctional Institution.
In prison lingo, inmates are prey, and predators are convicts.
Booty bandit. Everybody kept asking me if I knew any booty bandits. Yes, I do. You can go watch this episode of Lebanon Correctional. What's crazy is I seen this before I met this guy. I met this guy in Warren Correctional. I was not in Lebanon, but I was down the hill. It's the prison right next to it. This guy's name is Bluefish, and he's considered a Crip. Like, no, he was like running the Crips. And they all knew he was a fucking booty bandit. But I didn't know that until he got down there. And when he walked into the unit, everyone's like, oh, damn, you know, dude, that's a dude that was on the Lebanon TV show. And I know a couple other guys that was on a couple other shows too. And I'm like, oh, yeah, dude's cool, you know? And they're like, oh, no, he's not. I was like, what? Like, yeah, he's a bandit. Watch him. So back to the bandit thing, and why I'm saying they said watch him is because I'm a little white dude. What are they like? Little white dudes. Not this one. He never said anything to me, approached me, or said nothing crazy or anything like that, because I probably wouldn't be standing here. But this dude is cool as a fan, too. You can see him in the show, cool, just telling everybody all this prison stuff. And undercover, he's a bandit, real live. Ask about him. Bluefish, booty bandits in prison.
At 65, Todd Chrisley loses his shit on this one lesbian warden he met behind bars.
We had the worst warden. This ratchet ass, bad wig wearing, cockeyed heifer, Sherry Salisbury. Now, she is now at Fountain Prison in Alabama because I had her ass ushered out of there as well. She was a she was a lesbian, which I'm all for lesbians. I'm a lesbian, contrary to some people's belief. But she hated men so bad, and I would confront her every time she would lie. And she called me up to her office when the heat was really coming down on her by the Office of the Inspector General over the complaints that Savannah had filed and the evidence that we had turned over. And she said to me, Mr. Chrisley, do you know why I've called you up here? And I said, you missed me? Mr. Chrisley, this is not comedy hour. I said, no, because I've performed in much better places. And she said, Mr. Chrisley, this is my camp. I run it, not you. I said, that's evident by the way it runs. Mr. Chrisley, don't be cute with me. I could send you to the shoe. I said, and you and I both know that if you could, you would. What did you need? She said, you and I have a lot more in common than you think we do. And I said, Miss Salisbury, that's Warden Salisbury to you. I said, Miss Salisbury, the only thing that I can think of that you and I have in common is that we're both lesbians. Outside of that, I can't imagine that you and I have anything else in common. Now, this is the same woman, when she took over as warden, called me into her office 4 days after she had been there, and I had passed her on the sidewalk. I nodded to her. I didn't know who she was. I mean, I thought she was just some other low IQ individual that was working there. And she calls me up there and says that she was offended because that she had researched me and that she knew that my fashion acumen was so on point, that I knew so much about fashion, but yet I never commented about her Gucci belt that she was wearing. That's what she called me to her office to ask me. And I said, well, that's because it wasn't real. It was a knockoff. Mr. Chrissy, it was not. I said, it is. I says, just as you've stated, I know what the labels are and I know what the product looks like. I said, but you did have on 0 Grands. I says, by Cole Haan. I said, I'll give you that. So I had, and I'm proud to say I had no relationship with this ratchet ass. First of all, this bitch would come in with these cheap ass wigs on, wouldn't even be lined up. Would not even be lined up. And I know better than that. If I, as a white man raising a child of color, knows that your edges need to be right, you who've had edges your whole life should know that they should be right. But she was just no good, and she hated men. She would do shakedowns and steal their underwear because she'd say they didn't come from commissary, that they came from outside the facility, not taking into consideration that a lot of these men had come there from other facilities, that they did buy some of this stuff there.
At 66, listen to this crazy prison story of a predator. His name was Big P, basically.
Okay, so boom, part 3 of he exposed his boyfriend from prison. He unalived his wife and came back to prison. So as I'm going through the commissary bag, Groove knock on the door again. Pop, pop, pop. Hey, cuz, come on up out of there, man. Joe T don't give dude nothing. I give him the little $5. I said, man, I'm gonna help him out. He said, man, don't give him nothing, cuz, don't give him nothing. So I give him $5. He said, man, appreciate that, man. He walk out of the dude, grab him, boom. Man, come on, cuz. By the time I step out of the cell, Groove done took the $5 from him and everything. He walked little buddy down there to Big P cell. They in there for a couple of minutes. Groove walked back out by himself with the $5 in his hand. He walking towards me. I'm looking at him, he looking at me, we looking at each other. He said, yeah, Joe T, don't even worry about it. I'm finna take care of that. I said, man, what you got going on, Groove? He said, man, penitentiary rules in effect, Joe T, man, you already know what's going on, man. I'm trying to make sure I'm straight right here. He owe me $50. My people ain't been on the phone, man. I need everything everybody owe me today. I'm saying to myself, he done sold that man off, ain't it? So about 15 minutes go by, the new buddy come out of the cell. His body language don't scream, I just done something strange for a little piece of chain. By the time he walking down the steps on the opposite end, he didn't come back towards me. Big P come out of the cell, and he putting on his robe and tying it up as he walking out. He post up on the rail, and he watching dude as he walking. I said, oh, Lord. You want to hear the rest of the story? Go subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the full thing, Big P the Predator.
At 67, what happened when you catch an inmate stealing your stuff from your cell?
A kid ran in my cell while I was at work. I worked in the kitchen. Come home, cell's empty. Well, we know what that is, right? Like, I'm a ticket runner for the ticket guys, for sports. And my cell's empty. And within, 5 minutes, man, I got guys that are like, that guy Flint did it, that guy Flint. I know who it was in 5 minutes. Like, you're not going to... So as soon as they opened the doors, I got my locks. I took my weight pit straps and strapped them on, strapped my locks to it. They opened the doors and I beat this guy until they gassed me. Like the COs, you got to gas me. I'm not going to stop. They're like, well, stop. Why don't you come over here? I'll give something to you too. Go ahead. Come on. And just beating this guy until they gassed me. And that's when they carted me off to the hole, right? They drugged me down there. I'm covered in pepper spray and blood, and they threw me in the cell. And literally 5 minutes later, hey, white boy, what happened? Hey, white boy. Like, that was the changing moment of my life, was when I got put in that hole for the fight.
At 68, say you dropped the soap behind bars, would you pick it up or let it on the floor?
Number 1 prison myth. Dropping the soap. Dropping the soap is the number 1 prison myth. If you drop the soap, you're not going to get your cheeks tucked. But there is 2 things you do want to do when you're in the shower. 1, always wear your flip-flops. 2, always wear your boxers. And you're knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. Wash your ass and your boxers. I've even worn my socks in there and washed my socks in the shower too. Not wearing them, but like with my hands. So you don't have to do laundry. Because you never know who's in the shower next to you, and you're all the way in the open, and you don't want somebody peeking and looking at you while you're in the shower, while the soaps are just creeping down the suds of your... So that was like three prison myths or something.
At 69, gangster disciples used a boy for physical gratification behind bars. Take a look at this.
Male prison gangs use this man for physical gratification and ended him. And you know what he was in jail for? Theft. 1 year in jail for theft. It was felony theft, but it was theft. Was this a predator? No. Because I think everybody would agree that predators deserve the absolute worst in jail. Did he unalive somebody? No. He stole stuff. That's what he did. And yet the prison gangs here in Alabama, because the guards don't run our prisons are for profit, which means that the sheriffs make all the money and they cut every corner they can, so they let the inmates run the prisons. And that's exactly what happens here in Alabama. And they let this guy get passed around by the prison gangs and then viciously unalived. Oh, but what did the warden say? Overdose. Overdose. His girlfriend saw him unresponsive in the hospital, cut, bruised, beaten. His entire body was bruised and beaten and cut. And yet the warden tried to blame overdose. So yes, obviously the prisoners need to be charged, but so does the warden, and so does every corrections person that worked for that warden. And guess what? They should put that warden in with the rest of those prisoners. See how they treat them. But what do you guys think about this? And may the 22-year-old Daniel Williams, a father, may he rest in peace.
At 70, gamboos, meaning the weak, gets preyed upon behind bars. Here's the actual story that proves what I'm talking about here.
I had a cellie, and it was this young, and by this time I think I'd already been in prison now for a couple years or something like that. So I was already like institutionalized, like I know I'm gonna be here for a few more years. So they put me in the room with this kid, and he was like this little skinny white kid, but he had some genetics with his teeth. They like rotted really bad, right? So people like in the unit would like mess with him, or they wouldn't want to play cards with him because his breath was a little funny or whatever. And he didn't have nothing, and I kind of felt bad for him a little bit, because I had it's like the contrast was crazy, because I have a bunch of stuff and he has nothing, right? So I would if I would make a make a dish to eat or whatever, I'd share with him or whatever. And then one day he told me, when he came in, I ended up figuring out what he was down for, and he was down for a sex case, but it was with his he had just turned 18 and his girl had turned 17. So it was like a year difference, and they were dating or whatever, and then they ended up getting into it, got into a bad fight. The mom called the police, and he ended up getting it wasn't like I forget what level it was, and I'm not trying to justify any of that either, but some things it's like, okay, that's a little different than, you're with a baby or something like that. Like you were with this girl for I think they were together for like a few years, so everything was good until he hit 18 and she's, a year and a half younger or whatever it was. So he ended up going to prison, and I remember these white people, they were like a PNB gang, like this prison motorcycle biker gang, and they came up because some people in prison, a lot of people would call me Miami. That was like, everybody has nicknames. They're like, hey, Miami, isn't that your cellie? And I'm like, yeah, it's my cellie. You're like, yeah, he's a gump, right? Meaning like, he's just a goofy, like whatever. I'm like, I don't know, like that's between y'all, right? So they're talking to him, and I don't know exactly what their context of the conversation was about, because I'm doing my own thing. And come back in the room, shut the door, and he's like sitting on the desk watching my TV, and he's like, I'm like, what was going on with that? And he's like, they just gave me this book and it's got this list in it and they want me to pay them. I'm like, let me see the list. So I start looking at the list, and it's like some razors, like just some broke shit, right? Like some razors, pack of cookies, like $20, something like that, something light. And I'm like, bro, look, like, and he was like scared, and I'm like, bro, are you gonna pay it? And he was like, I don't know, it's cheap, so I think probably. And I'm like, look, and he really didn't have any money either. He didn't have nothing. So I'm like, if you pay it, like, this is gonna keep going, and now if you ever move to a different unit, they're gonna slide on you again, and they're gonna be, expecting you to pay. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to keep paying and whatever. I'm like, you want to know what you need to do? And he's like, what? I'm like, you just need to call one of them in the cell and whoop his ass. And he's like, you think I should do that? I'm like, I'm telling you, that's what you need to do. Like, they're gonna leave you alone if you do that. And he's like, all right, because it was 3 white dudes, and 2 of them were a little taller, and then there was 1 small one, right? I'm like, call, I forget what his name was. I'm like, tell him to come in the cell and beat his ass. And I'm like, don't you think you can beat him up? He's like, yeah, I think I could take him. I'm like, all right. So I go and like kind of facilitate this. I'm like, look, my cellie said he ain't paying. And Faribault wasn't really political, where it was like, cause like the next prison that we're gonna talk about that I ended up getting transferred to, that one is like serious, where I wouldn't even been in the cell with the white person unless like, yeah. But anyway, so I tell him like, hey, my cellie said he ain't paying, like he wants to fight. And so they're like, oh, okay, all right, let's, like, we'll send what's his name in there. And so they sent the little short dude in there, and my cellie beat him up bad in the cell, and like had him like choked up against the wall, and my cell was right in front of the phone. So I'm just like sitting on the phone, like the little rectangle window. I'm like just staring in the window, making sure my cellie's like putting in some work, and he's beating him up. And so they press the button, and the door pops, and comes out. He's all red and bruised, and my cellie's in the room like hype, like, yeah, I did it. And I'm like, yeah, you did it.
At 71, imagine getting locked up with a predator, yet the catch is you don't know that dude is a predator, and you imagine him as your brother.
So as far as rape in prison's concerned, I would hear rumors from time to time about this happening or that happening, and sometimes it turned out to be true. But my only experience with that happening is one time when I was in a cell with this guy named Reb from my county, and there was, on the bottom tier, there was a young Dominican guy that was moving in with this older black dude, and this older black guy was a little bit bigger or whatever, but I don't know, he didn't look too scary or intimidating to me. Anyway, this young Dominican kid's all happy. He's yelling to everybody on the block, and he's like happy as shit he's moving in with this dude, and Red tells me, he's like, boy, he don't know what he's in for. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, that dude spent years in the hole for raping his cellie. I was like, nah, man, nah. He's like, yeah. He's like, that kid, he has no clue what he's getting in for, because that dude is a predator.
At 72, this inmate fought a punk 6'3", 250 pounds of muscular, and dude was a punk. Watch this story.
Craziest fight I ever had was with the dude named Coco. Now, Coco was a 6'3", 250-pound black punk. Straight up flamboyantly gay, but big and fought like a motherfucker. And what he, or whatever you want to say, would do is, it was really fucked up. He would try to get food from people, like handle people, like, hey man, give me some chips, give me that, give me this. And you don't want to, if you tell him no, he's gonna start some shit and want to fight you. And it kind of sucks, because if you get beat up by him, you got beat up by a punk. If you beat him up, you're not getting any like real super cool points because he's a punk, you know what I mean? So it's really a lose-lose situation. And Coco has some hands. He already did this and whooped like 3 people. And I would just try to avoid, when he would come to the table, I'd find a reason to go somewhere else, just trying to avoid him. But, of course, he would try to start conversation and be cool with people just to get in the door. And he started that shit with me, like, hey, let me get some chips, let me get this and that. And I'm like, man, I ain't gonna keep going down this road, bro. So he had asked me, man, let me get some chips. And I'm like, man, I gotta make this last till store day. Man, come on, man, you could give me a few chips. I'm like, man, I told you I gotta make it last. He's like, man, you a bitch. And it was like, you know, like in the club when the music stops and everybody looks. And I'm like, fuck, everybody's looking at me. So if I don't do anything, you just got punked by a punk. I don't want to fight him because it's like if he whoops me, that's going to be bad. And if I whoop him, I'm not getting no great points. But I'm like, fuck it. All right, Coco, come on. So we go to the corner and he just rushes me. Wow, starts throwing him. And we start trading licks, and we're in this little bitty corner, so there's not much room to like maneuver and move around. So we get to the point where we're just trading licks. He's hitting me, I'm hitting him, and I feel it like start to go black, like he's rocking me. And I had like just this primal survival instinct, like, man, I can't let this dude knock me out because I don't know what might happen. So I just like went Super Saiyan mode, started hitting him, and boom, I start dropping him. Then all of a sudden I get surrounded by like 10 black dudes. They run up on me. I'm like, man, what's going on? They're like, nah, fuck that white boy. You know, I'm like, man, what? He called me a bitch. He charged me up. And the thing is, there's a lot of people that act gangster that are secretly undercover that be doing shit. So this dude, he was a black dude from Chicago. I don't know if he was a GD or something like that. But he was a tattoo guy. And he would always be, Coco didn't have no money. He would always be doing tattoos with a little cover up in his cell. I think there might have been some more stuff going on. And there's some people you would never think that are like hardcore gangster fighting motherfuckers that you hear doing some stuff behind the scenes. And these people charged me up. And there's only a couple white guys. And once again, a lot of times the white guys aren't gonna stand with you anyway. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, because I've been to some units where there's some stand-up hardcore white guys that'll get out there and do their shit. But a lot of times that's not the case. So they're surrounding me and I'm like, shit, now I'm fixing to get jumped. And luckily one person was a voice of reason. He was like, man, he ran up on him. He called him a bitch. Why you trying to fight for that punk anyway, man? What y'all? And so I narrowly escaped that. It was almost a whole race riot behind Coco. But yeah, that was a crazy situation because there was no winning.
At 73, hey, look. Do you know that the craziest prison weapon is made up of a toilet paper? Nah, for real. Watch this.
Craziest prison weapon made out of toilet paper. So this right here, it was made out of toilet paper. I've personally never seen anyone make it out of toilet paper. I've seen them make it out of plastic. I've seen them make a rope out of toilet paper, but never this. An Ohio inmate was locked in his cell all day and he had nothing but time on his hands. So he saved up all his toilet paper. Then ply by ply, piece by piece, you get it. He would get it wet and ball it up. Oh yeah, I've seen people make like dice out of this wet toilet paper. And they actually work like really good. Maybe that's another video. Back to the regular show. And then let it harden until it got like this. But luckily, nobody was hurt with it. I mean, could you imagine going to the afterlife and people being like, how'd you get here? And I'm like, oh, I got stabbed by toilet paper. One of the guards took him out of his cell and ended up going in his cell and finding it. Craziest prison weapon made out of tissue, toilet paper. What do you use to go to the bathroom if he saved all that? I shit too much.
At 74, this prison guard sneaked into the prison shower to beat a butt-naked inmate to death.
Dude come out his cell, butt-ass naked, with a towel, talking about, I'm getting in the shower. Fuck you mean you getting in the shower? I'm getting in the shower. I don't go eat until I take a shower. Y'all go ahead. I'll catch up with y'all. He walks in the shower, Eon. I'm standing right there like I'm looking at you like, oh, no, he didn't. And I went to that shower area, and I looked at him, and he got the soap, and he like, And once he put that soap all over his face, I opened that shower door, and I was right behind his ass. And I'm breathing on his neck like he my bitch. And soon when he turned around, and he went like this, with his rag to wipe his soap off, he said, yo! And man, it was on and popping in that motherfucker. Me and him were slipping and sliding. Slide, slipping and slide. Fighting our ass off. And all of a sudden, he went down, and I grabbed him by his nuts, and I had dick and balls in my hand. I had dick and balls. And he was like, like, yeah, nigga, come on.
At 75, are relationships behind closed cell doors really worth it?
Prison relationships and the after effect. I'm gonna play a clip for you guys of someone that got in a relationship while they were locked up and what happened afterwards.
So what you gotta tell people about getting into a prison relationship or whatever?
Don't. It's not worth it.
Not worth it.
People say they care about you, they don't. If you can find one friend that you can trust that doesn't want to have sex with you, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Because everybody has an agenda.
Everybody got an agenda.
Everybody's got something they want from you.
Exactly.
You just have to figure out what it is, and whether you want to give it or not. And even then, I don't know. I've been in prison a month, so.
You only been in prison a month, and this shit happened. 30 days.
30 days yesterday.
Damn.
Yep. But maybe I learned it this time.
Exactly. Stay the fuck out of prison, y'all.
At 76, what's the worst thing an inmate can do to get a few seconds high on a substance?
What will inmates do for a substance in prison? Let's speak on it. Right here is a prime example of somebody who doesn't have any money and can't afford what they're looking for. So the person who has it will go to far lengths to make it worth giving them a piece for nothing. I have to say, this is one of the craziest prison flexes I've ever seen. I guess that's what they mean when they say standing on business. I actually had some friends who was locked up with him and they said that he was a stand-up guy. Stop doing substances and don't do no dumb stuff to end up in prison. Stay free, y'all.
At 77, what is fishing? And why do some inmates fish pussy books to each other behind bars?
In the big box, you fishing. You can fish too. I don't know if you ever heard of fishing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so they got that shit. I learned that shit in green too. I ain't know what the fuck that was. I'm in the box just seeing mad shit flying. I'm like, what the fuck is all that shit flying? Why they got everything flying for, like, in big ass poles and shit? I'm seeing some go super far, some not make it that far. And I'm like, what they got going on? Then I'm seeing them connect. I'm seeing pussy books go in the air.
Wait,
I'm
what's a
seeing
pussy
weed
book?
books. A pussy book?
Yeah.
That's the magazine right there. That's what you call your shorty. That's your girl in jail. Like that's when you need a pussy book, you pull up on the bro and you be like, yo, bro, let me get one of the girls. Like, feel me? Let me see one of the bitches. Cause that's basically the bitches. So it's like a pussy book is one of the bitches pretty much. That's one of those things that keep you healthy in jail. Like, it keeps your mind right. So a lot of people will share pussy books and shit all day. So they'll share that, send it to each other. They'll send each other drugs. They'll send each other fire through the things, through the lines. There was a whole lot of fishing going on. And eventually I learned how to fish and I was a pro at that shit. I was fishing for everything. I'm like, yeah, holla, let me get that. Yeah. Like, it was crazy.
At 78, what would you do if your cellie, yes, the closest person in your cell, treats you like a little bitch?
Jeffrey, give me some ice water. I'm not even thirsty.
Treating an inmate like he's your personal yes boy? Let's get into this. Now, this ain't nobody's fault except this kid's right here. If you let another man treat you like this, they're gonna continue to treat you like this. If you don't stand up for yourself in prison, they're gonna treat you all sorts of bad. I wouldn't be surprised if this kid be cleaning people's cell and doing their laundry. If you don't have heart in prison, they're gonna exploit this. This is normally what happens to people that think they're tough and they end up going to prison and finding out they're not. Now, I've always told you guys, it's not about winning the fight, it's about being willing to fight. And obviously, he didn't pass the heart check. Prison is a dog-eat-dog world, and you might think you're a shark and then go to prison and find out you're not. A lot of people find out that they're a small fish in a big pond. And once somebody treats you like this, everybody's gonna end up treating you like this. And that's facts.
At 79, why do most lifers carry samurai swords in prison?
Inmate with a samurai sword.
An inmate with a samurai sword in prison? Let's get into this. Now, there's some inmates that are locked up that give zero cares. They are willing to catch a body. Why? Because they already have a life sentence. So what is another one when you already have life? And if they hit you with this, it's going through your entire soul. It's not just gonna inflict a little bit of damage. This thing's gonna go all the way through you. And trust me, there's no coming back from it. I've seen people get hit with little 3-inch blades in prison and get unalive because of it. So what do you think a 2-foot sword's gonna do to you? Trust me, it is nothing nice. If somebody has this, they're willing to use it. Why? Because you can't hide this from the cops. And where I'm from, if they catch you with this, it's a new 1 to 15 felony charge. Now, other prisons are different, but where I was at, they don't play. And that's facts.
At 80, Inmate recalls a time when he witnessed one of the most wildest beatdowns behind bars.
One of the best beatdowns I've ever seen. Oh, God.
dude, 130 little pound gay black guy, called him Tay-Tay, I think was her name, or Portia. And this big old huge 6 foot whatever Mexican called her a bitch. I know I'm saying she, it's a he.
You're using proper terminology.
Yeah, because that's how she, I mean, she's.
That's how she identified.
Yeah, you know, punks in prison are one step above child molesters, right?
Well, anything's one step above a child molester.
Well, but punks are on their knees in the shower at night trying to earn a soup and a sleeve of crackers by sucking dick, right?
Like in the longest yard.
Yeah, but they're bashing people, you know, gay people during the day, so we just have no use for them. But if you're openly gay, I mean, it's no big deal. We know who you are as a man. We'll break bread. That's just not an issue. But I remember this little inmate, that Mexican called her a bitch, and she hit him so many times, so fast. That dude was out when he hit the ground. And I remember going, Nate, nobody called Tay-Tay a bitch, and switched off. I'm going, so I called her the next few days later in the yard. I'm like, where did you learn to fight like that? She goes, I've got my ass kicked so many times for being the way that I am. I learned to fight. I'm like, you go, girl, give me a fist bump, you know?
At 81, this female inmate used her looks to get basically whatever she desired and lived like a queen behind bars.
Pretty girl privilege. Really. And then I had a good job. So once I started at Gadsden working out, that became my job every compound I went to, because I was transferred quite a lot. And I mastered just proposing the wellness, like how great it is and how it reduces fights and how it gives women something to do. I got to the point where at FWRC, I had a pass. I can go on any compound. I would just be able to be like, wellness, show my pass and get let in and teach classes. So using that to my advantage, like, oh, I know that I'm like have a little bit of power now, and just having them do what I want. Like being out the dorm even though they didn't call for movement yet. Or I'm not in this class, but they're gonna let me go anyway because it's me, I'm Nicolazzi, so I'm gonna go. Or yeah, or if an officer even let me know that he thought I looked good, I was using that to the T. Like, okay, I got him. Not gonna say no names, but there was one at Gadsden that I already knew if he's on the yard, I could do whatever I want. I could walk around with my friends, I could do whatever.
What kind of signs are you looking for? Like how do they know, or how do you know that you could try him and get away with it?
It's the same in the real world. The eyes, the looks, the comments, the gestures, it's the same thing out here. I hear it all the time, you talk with your eyes, and I would do the same thing. And as soon as they didn't, Nicolazzi, don't try me, or whatever, and they talked back, game. It's game. I got so good at it that, I won't say no names, but I had a head of classification on my team. And it was a woman, and whatever I wanted. You want somebody shipped? Sure. You want whatever I wanted. You want this job, you want this program, you got it.
And what do they get out of it? It seems like you have all the advantage of what you get out of it, but what do they get?
So I'll tell you what, I never ever had sex with an officer, although they do that. I do know a girl that got pregnant in jail or in prison. I don't know if it's the thrill. I might have to message one and ask them what is it, because a lot of women get their way. I was just telling Maddie Ice, lip gloss in prison, the things women will do for this lip gloss break is crazy. But the officers will bring it to you. And I never did anything in return. Some women did. They did. Something small as this and a pack of gum.
At 82, here's an inmate screaming and yelling being on drugs while his cellie films the whole drama.
Dope sick while you're in prison. Majority of us that go to prison, we're addicts. And when we get into booking in the county jail, the nurse will ask us, like, are you addicted? You know, or do you have any diseases? A whole questionnaire. You think that the nurse is gonna care. 9 times out of 10, she don't. But a lot of places don't give you shit. Not a Gatorade, not an Advil. But Biden did pass a law for the MAT program. So a lot of people that hate on Biden, and you're an inmate in prison, and you're an addict, Biden's the reason why we get that MAT program. And your ass to be rolling around on the floor if it wasn't for him. Not saying I'm a Biden fan. Also, when you get a habit in prison, it definitely ain't helping you. Wish there was something I could tell you guys, like why I'm making this video, but I'm not. I'm just like here to show you like this is what happens. And I've been this person rolling around on the floor. I'm 40 months sober now. Best decision I ever made in my life. But going through this, you couldn't tell me that then. Being dope sick in prison,
At 83, what happened when you get caught stealing in prison? Watch this.
Inmate gets caught stealing in prison.
Lock the door. Jam the door. You got my money? You said I got stolen? I'm not playing. What's wrong with you? I almost alarmed away. You didn't get caught stealing away. Hey, you gonna run the fight. Hey, look.
Getting caught stealing in prison, let's speak on it. Getting caught stealing in prison is one of the worst things that can happen to you. It's gonna ruin your entire reputation and it's gonna get you stomped out. The three most hated kind of people in prison are thieves, rats, and people who run with the same gender, if you know what I'm saying. And if you think it's just gonna be like a one punch, one done thing, that's not it. They're gonna put you into a cell just like this, and they're gonna take turns whooping your ass. They're not even gonna jump you. They're gonna do it one by one, and nowadays they're gonna film it, put it on the internet, and completely embarrass you to the general public as well. Stay free, y'all.
At 84, this inmate made smuggling look like a child's play. For real, for real.
I got it in through girls. Like, I had girls come visit me and stuff like that, and either swallow a couple M&M balls or whatever, or I'll probably boof it. I ain't like boofing it, I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't with that shit.
How do you boof it in the visit though?
Shit, you gotta be sneaky because it all depends on which COs is it. You gotta know if they're party time or not. Like, you might know this CO's a good person, he don't pay mind that much, he don't care. Or you might know this CO over here, he's a super dickhead, so you gotta be on point with him. Like, you gotta watch out for him. He be on everything, like watching. So it's like it all depends on the situation and that you're in and the predicament you're in, pretty much. You gotta watch your surroundings. Me, I ain't like that shit because that's too much movement. You gotta go behind and do too much. You gotta go in front of you, do too much. That's too much. Me, I was with the just swallow, pretty much. I was with the swallow and M&M balls, pretty much. Put it in chocolate milk, and I would just drink it the whole time, and I just shit that shit out later, and I start digging in my shit, and then I just started prepping up my money, and I just started going crazy in the yard, flooding it.
An M&M ball doesn't dissolve in your stomach or anything? Like, it melts down?
Did it? I think it did at one point in time, probably. It depends how many days it's there for.
How do you put the drugs in an M&M?
It's not really M&M. It's like it's an M&M size ball.
Oh, okay.
So it's like basically just gloves. You just dump it in a glove and you just tying it up, and they M&M size pretty much. They can't be too big because you don't want to choke. So you got to make them good size, but you got to stuff each one of them. And I ain't gonna lie, I got caught at the end of the bid. I got caught. I ain't get caught. Shorty got caught. Her dumb ass. She got caught. I ain't get caught.
At 85, watch this inmate showing no remorse for the crimes he committed.
You have no remorse at all about any of the people you...
Don't seem to affect me. I mean, I could person and just go out to dinner.
Having no remorse in prison? Let's get into this. Now, yes, I have met a lot of people in prison that literally have no remorse. And obviously you could be like a sociopath or a psychopath or something crazy like that. But a lot of people that I met that have no remorse is because they just didn't have a good upbringing. Or they are heavily involved in the gang life and they care about the gang life more than they care about their normal life on the street. Now, you don't have to be a complete psychopath to have no remorse. It just boils down to if you're a good person or not. But obviously a true psychopath would have no remorse. I heard a story about a dude that was locked up in prison, and he literally was locked up in prison for messing around with a kid that was underage. Now, after he got caught, he went in front of the board of pardons and pretty much told him, look, we're in love, and I'm gonna get out and do the same thing over and over again. They finally ended up giving this dude a life sentence and straight told him, hey, good luck. And that's facts.
At 86, what happened to trans inmates behind bars? Watch this one.
What do they do if you're trans in prison?
What do they do in prison if you're transgender? Let's get into this. Now, for your own safety, what they're gonna do is they're gonna put you in a pod with other people that identify as that. And this is because in prison, at least on the West Coast, walking around the yard in booty shorts and tank tops is not allowed. That is a very easy way to get got. Not only do you have to worry about people that don't want you there, but you gotta worry about people that will take advantage of you, you know? Now, I think this is actually a smart idea to segregate people because safety means everything in prison. It's not about your feelings, it's about your safety. Would you rather be in a pod where you know that you're safe from other inmates? Or would you rather risk it?
But the sad truth is, not a lot of prisons have pods like this. So these individuals are actually lucky that this prison provides a safe environment for them, because a lot don't. And that's facts.
At 87, imagine you have a cellie who jerks off at people. He's not gay, nor is he mental. He just likes to do it.
A guy, they put him in the dorm and they said that watch out for him, like he's going around like just jacking off on people. And I'm like, what? Sure enough, they put him in my cell and I'm like, oh God. And the dude would just pace around looking all crazy all day. And I was asleep one day and I felt something like touch my leg. What the fuck is that? And I look up, I swear I felt, because you're half asleep, so you're not sure. And I like felt something rub my leg. What the fuck? Hey dude, did you touch me? And he's like, man, what the fuck you talking about? Come on in. And like, I'm like, fuck, now I gotta fight this crazy dude. So of course they were like, man, old school finna whoop his ass. And I actually I'm a little bit quicker than him, so I'm weaving him and I'm catching him and stuff, and we end up getting sent to SEG. But come to find out, they had the FBI had came in later and talked to him. Some of the guards told me that he was like wanted in connection with like 2 murders. But the thing is, you could tell he was genuinely thrown off, like he was a psych patient. He probably shouldn't have been in there. And there's a lot of people that are, you know, have mental health problems that really need help, but it's so much cheaper just to throw them in the prison system and figure it out.
At 88, women inside prison stink, point blank, period.
I was only in it for one day, thank God. One day. Yeah, I tell you, if they would have had me another day, I would have signed out.
Because that butt
I would
ass.
sign out. That it wasn't even a butt ass, it was the Podusi. It was the Podusi. I was just talking to a doctor a few minutes ago, and the doctor told me, ain't nothing like that Podusi smell. Thanks. And I used to DJ, you know, and record when I'm like, and it's all over your face. And for real, that's all I was thinking about, you know? And then, you know, the other girl said, Cookie, what's wrong? This new Jack over here acting like something stank. Acting like something stank. They immune to that shit. I'm not immune to that shit. Some do stink. But let me tell you, I'm from Brownsville. Never ran, never will.
At 89, watch this inmate using K2 while being housed in the hallway.
He's definitely going back to prison.
Inmates still using substances in the halfway house? Let's speak on it. If you're in the halfway house and you're doing stupid stuff like this, you deserve to go back to prison, because like it's already a privilege that you're able to even be eligible for a halfway house. But to be sitting there in the wide open off a substance, just drooling all over yourself, nodding off right in front of a staff member, you deserve to go back. I know addiction is a very serious thing that's not funny, but at the same time, like, what do you expect? They're gonna let him out of here.
Not have to pay for it. Maybe like the broker booty bandits. But that shit does happen in there every day. It's probably happening right now. But that squeaking you also hear, that's from people's shoes squeaking on the floors, like a basketball game. Some guys, you'll have to actually go tell them like, hey bro, you gotta go get in the shower. We'll make sure nothing happens because you stink. Even COs will come through sometimes if guys haven't been in the shower and tell them they gotta get in that water. But I'm sure they'll keep an extra eye on them. Prison sounds you don't want to hear and why guys don't get in the shower in prison.
At 93, watch this inmate exposing how to seduce a female guard behind bars.
And I'm gonna tell you, if you ever really want to test your game, that is how you do it, because it is the hardest competition when it comes to talking to a guard. Because you got to think, out here, you got status symbols like, hey, I'm fucking Ian Bick, you know what I mean? Or you got jewelry, or you got cars, or you got whatever. You got something to differentiate you from the crowd. In there, we all got the same shaved head. We all got the same white suits. The most you can flex is $75 on commissary. We're all the same. We're all competing, hundreds of people competing over the same 1 or 2 women guards that are in there. Then you add in the elements that everybody's gonna hate on you if they see you getting some attention that they're not. They'll tell on you, you know what I mean? Then you got the added element of if she doesn't respond well, she could write you a case and you could fuck off your parole. So it's just a diabolical game. But it's something that I got really good at. I would get these jobs and you know, I would actually study. I would read like pickup artist books and have little ideas for icebreaker conversation starters. I would have songs. I would like get on the button and be like, hey, I wrote this song for a female. Let me hit it for you real quick. Tell me what you think. And just do shit outside the box that was bold. and they respected it. And I ended up, I had a few different girlfriends in there that they would bring me stuff in. They would look out for me. You know, in there, if they bring you a freaking free world cheeseburger, you're fucking winning, you know? And I didn't want to do, you know, I was already in the mind frame of wanting to be successful. So I didn't want to bring in like drugs and cell phones and stuff like that. My thing was like, bring me some creatine for my workout, you know, bring me some food, or make this phone call from a three-way from my homeboy and shit. But it helped pass the time. And had a couple girls that, you know, I made out with, touched on them, you know, little shit. And just a hug. When you get a hug in prison, I was telling, I think your buddy about this, is like people don't realize that human nature is we need physical touch. Like a man, even, we need so many hugs a day, or physical touch in general. And to not have that for years at a time, it really messes with you psychologically. And I think that's why in prison, a lot of guys, you know, play around and what's up, bro? You know, just because they don't have any kind of physical touch. And so when you get a kiss or just a hold the hand of a woman is something amazing in there. But it came with a lot of heat. A lot of guys always trying to hate on me, always trying to start shit.
At 94, watch this inmate getting pressed while his cellie gets beat up like crazy. Watch this.
Inmate presses another inmate while their homies run a fade in prison.
Inmates getting pressed by other inmates while his homie is catching a fade. Let's speak on it. By the looks of this video, this guy right here, seems like he's punking this dude out. And these two, they look like they're just dancing. Like they don't really actually, I don't think actually squabble. And you would think that this dude's being soft by the way this guy's getting in his face. But you don't want to judge people in prison because you never know. Just because that dude's acting all about it doesn't mean that this dude right here wasn't going to snap and flip him upside down. If someone's running a fair fade, let it happen. But I'll tell you something right now. Ain't no one about to sit here and dog me out like that. I really feel like this dude has it in him though. The way he's staying calm and the way he's not backing down, I feel like he would have gotten over on dude immediately. Stay free, y'all.
At 95, inmate challenges Co for a fight, gets beaten up instead. Take a look and continue watching, because the next few stories are crazy.
Inmate challenges ACO to run a fade in prison.
Inmate challenging a CO to run a fade and then gets the boots put to him in prison. Let's speak on it. Here, let me show you some more of the clip real quick. Now, this is what you get when you let other people put a battery in your back. You had no business trying to fight a man that's almost double your size, clearly in better shape than you, and he obviously has his stuff together because he's not the one sitting in an orange jumpsuit. Chased him all the way down the tier, all the way across the day room, talking about, come on, let's get it, let's get it. Then you got popped right in your mouth, flipped on your neck, and now you're going to the hole. You gotta remember, at the end of the day, we're all human, we're all people. Even somebody who likes the same gender of person, or somebody who might have a weird charge, or a cop, you never know. You can't underestimate anybody. You never know who's gonna knock you out. Stay free, y'all.
At 96, why do some inmates dip their knives in literal shit? Well, here's the hidden reason.
People were dipping their knives in feces and having rusted knives so they could kill you. So they can poison, you know, their knives. So when they stabbed you, if you happen to survive the shots that they studied where to hit you at and how to pull the knife. And it's not just somebody stabbing you. It's not like somebody cutting you like this. None of that TV. It's like somebody wrapping it to their hand. And because you got to have that joint wrapped to your hand because the blood because you're going and taking the person out.
At 97, people ask this question a lot. How do you hide your cell phones in prison? Watch this.
Hiding your cell phone in prison.
Hiding your phone in a shampoo bottle? Let's get into this. This is a rookie mistake. You might as well just hand your phone over to the cops. Now, hygiene is one of the most searched things in prison. As soon as the cops go into your cell, they're gonna immediately look at all your hygiene. Normally, they hold up the bottle if they can't see through it and they shine a flashlight. If not, they open it and sometimes they even dump it out. Especially the person that made this made it so bad, it literally has a piece of sheet hanging out of it. This is laughable at best. Now, normally people keep their cell phones on them or inside them. And yes, that's possible in prison. People will amaze you. Or people even have hollowed out parts of their wall inside their cell to stash their cell phone. Either way, this is a rookie mistake and a very bad idea. And that's facts.
At 98, Arizona's inmate unalives 3 chomos in one day. Watch this.
Arizona inmate goes on a rampage and unalives 3 child predators? Let's get into this. Ricky was already serving 16 life sentences when he unalived 3 inmates in a single day at an Arizona State prison in Tucson, April 4, 2025. All 3 victims were convicted of child S crimes. Let's just say all of them were there on terrible, horrible crimes. He ended up strangling his cellmate that morning, then took a rock inside of a laundry bag to a fenced area near the mess hall and attacked 2 more. He ended up telling the reporters the only regret that he has is that he didn't get more of them. He even claims a 4th body, but the medical examiner said that it was actually natural causes. He told the staff multiple times, if you place somebody with a crazy crime like that in my cell, you know what I'm gonna do to them. And they did it anyways, because they don't care. And that's exactly how prison works. The cops will set you up. Me personally, I think they need a free bro. I didn't see him doing nothing wrong. And that's facts.
At 99, listen, brother, take this as life advice. Never accept a honey bun behind bars.
Watching me open it, you're like, oh God, honey bun. Ooh. Oh God, this shit good. Oh man. And I said, yo, where you get that honey bun from, son? Huh? Where you get the honey bun? Yo, your man gave it to me. My man? Yeah, where your boys, If you know about jail, you don't take no honey bun from somebody you don't know. So my man come behind me, yo, E, what's up? You gave him a honey bun? Yeah. I said, yo, son, you know what come with that honey bun, right? What you mean, E? What come? You gave me a honey bun, I gave him a honey bun. My man come across my shoulder, He said, what you talking about? You ain't asked for nothing. You owe for that honey bun. What you mean I owe for the honey bun? You know I ain't got no commissary. I'm giving him a trial. I ain't got nothing to give. I said, yes, you do. He said, what I got to give? He said, later tonight, your buns for buns, nigga. Buns for buns. Those buns are mine later.
At 100, imagine hearing the news of your wife getting pregnant by another man while you are locked up behind bars.
Inmate finds out his wife got pregnant by another man while he's in prison.
Inmate finds out his girl got pregnant by another man while he's in prison. Let's speak on it. This right here, you can't even feel bad for somebody, even though I've been in a similar situation, not necessarily a pregnancy, but just going in and out of jail my entire life. You lose relationships while you're in there. But it's the stupid choices that we made, or he made, or whoever's in prison going through that put them in prison. And that's one of the consequences of losing your freedom. Yes, there are amazing women out there that really love their man and will hold them down, especially after they're married. But there's also women that are just human. And at the end of the day, like, no matter how much they love somebody, through time and space and lack of things that they need as a woman, they're gonna end up drifting away. Comment below, ladies, how long could you hold a man down in prison before you felt like you had to start drifting? Stay free, y'all.
I got me some bread on time on no food, but I want to bring they on kid. The nigga leave this time, my beanie been going to you, next time I mean, working the cat, that thing, I took my thorny mic, next day on these. Young nigga hurting that you for me, young nigga hurting that you for me, that you for me. You why I step when I walk in these politics, on my heart, and they show no fun. Sign that block, everything is surprise, rewrite that thing, she'll tell me Obama. People in the hood, she stands, she drama, she just like a bike, she causes trauma. I can go down, we powers and bodies, she celebrating that key little numbers.
They say death around the corner. I ain't scared, never lack. I see 10 toes, stay paid, ready time to take a real G. But it ain't my time, won't leave my mom alone, so I clutch up on it. I ain't bitches devil for designer. That's on blood, that pussy in the time is running body in the mud. They say death around the corner. I ain't scared, never lacking. I see 10 toes, gotta stay paid, ready time to take a real G. But it ain't my time, won't leave my mom alone, so I clutch up on it. I ain't bitches the devil for this line up. Got some blood at that pussy nigga, trying to find that body in the mud. They see death around the corner. Load up with his leg, double clutch up on my Glock and while me caught one in the head. I was right up in these trenches, baby. Forever I'll be paper chase. Gotta feed my family out here, that's what keep me motivated. That's why I stay dedicated. Lots of times I'm complicated. Take it from a nigga who the A is incarcerated. Niggas tryna feel my pain. Look into my eyes, you tell the shit I've been through, you tell I'm traumatized. My question ever God.
We gotta shoot like man, we gotta ride a trap, and we send the like QB, BBA flip jiggery, take me sound like bird, try to boost on my like Jinker. Yeah, try to boost on my like Jinker. We gotta shoot like man, we gotta ride a trap, and we send the like QB, BBA flip jiggery, take me sound like bird, try to boost on my like Jinker. Yeah, try to boost out my like you. I got a bill that ass so fat, I don't think she wanna care. We got a bag to get, I do that. I like to get money fast. Got 17 to dig it back. My pocket think that cash, just lean like cash. Snitch on nigga won't laugh. Right for a nigga like lag, I did the shit that we love to do. But lots more than the robbers too. I got a shot to follow you. Follow you just like stock do. I ring you trying to take out your bag. There was nobody can call you. You need to be up, find your blow, damn shit you need to. Cause we gotta shoot like man.